All right, Gruntpa returns to their Will Be Bourbon. It's been a few years. How you doing, brother?
Making it.
As always, the night's discussion will be fueled by America's native spirit, something I stumbled upon very recently. It's called Kentucky Par, an old label brought back from I guess, the forgotten land, disappeared post World War II, brought back, and it's a 12-year-old bourbon. It's 100 proof. It's tasty, and I know Grandpa doesn't drink it, but I think last time you mentioned you've tried the non-alcoholic bourbons, right?
I have the raw. Well, they're just not good.
I
Yeah,
didn't. That's right.
they're so bad. Like the non-alcoholic beers have come a long way, and so they're
Yeah,
tasty. I actually have two of those here.
there you go.
Um, yeah, on reserve. But yeah, the non-alcoholic spirits, if there is such a thing, are terrible. You can buy I will say the Ritual tequila is pretty
Okay.
good. Because the way that they people don't know this, the way that they try to give it that like Bernie bite that alcohol
Yeah,
has,
yeah.
they put like black pepper and
Oh,
capsaicin and stuff in it. And so
so
if you mix it with like Coke, it tastes like shit, right? So
well,
like you try to make like a bourbon and Coke or something like
yeah.
with this fake stuff, it's like it tastes like somebody just dumped like a shaker full of black pepper in your Coke. It's not good. But the Ritual tequila, if you think about it, tequila, lime juice, margaritas, a lot of
Yeah.
times you're kind of spicing them up anyway. So it's not so bad. So
Okay.
I can almost have a margarita. Almost. But
Almost.
that's as close as I get. The rest of them are just like, I don't know, flavored soda waters.
Yeah. Um, I may have said this the last time, but even if I didn't, because my dad just told me he bought some new non-alcoholic thing. He's cut back on alcohol in his advancing age, but I remember like in the 80s, well, no, it was the 90s, because he was still doing like for fun, he'd do bodybuilding competitions, so he cut out beer. And this is when O'Doul's came out.
Yeah.
I remember O'Doul's, and it's just like the most disgusting thing ever. And it's still around.
Bad.
Like it's
It
like whoever
is.
makes it is just like I think Coors makes it. Maybe they're just like whatever. We'll just write it off as a just.
It's got to be like a write off. Yeah, I don't know if anybody enjoys it. Like O'Doul's is really bad. I feel like all of the old school NA beers are bad, but like I've got a Stella and a Coors here, and both of them are delicious.
I did try the Stella. I think Brink had it when we were together once many moons ago.
Hmm.
That was pretty good. Or no, never mind. It was the Heineken. The Heineken was pretty good.
I don't like the Heineken. Of course, I don't
No,
like Heineken anyway. I feel like
I don't either.
Heineken just tastes like it tastes like skunk beer.
Yeah, it tastes like
Like
piss.
by the time it crosses the Atlantic, it tastes like shit.
So it might
I don't know what
actually be
happened.
the same beer.
It could be.
It's not
Yeah,
like this. That's
totally
why I
could.
love not to get too deep into like the beer talk, but that's why I love the Amstel Light all the time because it's only got like 2.5% alcohol in it anyway.
Yeah,
So
Amstel's easy, man.
yeah,
I feel
it
like
just
I could probably
hydrates
drink
you as you
Amstel.
drink. Yeah, you just hydrates you.
Yeah, yeah. Right. It's like a beer flavored sparkle water.
Yeah, Joel Gaines would love it. Joel would love it.
Yeah. You're definitely gonna get all of your hydration needs covered by
Yeah.
Amstel.
So I know what we talked about last time, completely different from this time. The reason I kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit more, a few of your stuff that you've recently said on the old X app, but
Uh,
I kind of wanted to get your take on a few things that have happened recently because it's just why not?
why not? See how many more enemies I can make? Let's do it.
No, it's just like because I kind of wanted to see. I don't know. Like I felt like it was kind of a weird thing to observe anyway, but just kind of to see the reaction that's kind of happened post that, especially from our betters, you know. But
Okay.
what was your take on the human marshmallow?
You know, I've been doing this thing for like the last year and a half where I'm trying to not be like myself, you know?
Yeah.
It's been really tough actually. So like in his case and many others recently, like I'm trying to have compassion for these people, especially for this one because like I don't know, nobody lights themselves on fire. It's got it all
It's
together,
not a normal
you
thing, right?
know? And I think to like when I was joining the army and other people I know that have joined and like how I've seen things have gone for us since.
Yeah.
And so like you know, I a lot of kids join. I think like there's mental illness, you know, problems with the family. I read a thing today too where like his folks are I think they're like Midwesterners, Bible thumper Christians. You know what I mean? Like just
Good.
salt of the earth sounding people.
Yeah, that's
Like
it.
his mother apparently was like putting in a prayer request at like the church. You know, like asking that people pray for her son and her son's soul and all that. And yeah, I think that that poor kid. I mean, I think he was just mentally ill. Like, oh, you know, too many people that join the military hoping that like they can get out of it or whatever. And yeah, he fell in with a bad crowd. Like he fell in with a bunch of sock dims or dim socks or whatever the fuck they are. Um, they filled his head full of bullshit, and they made him feel bad about himself and about what he did for a living. You know, like he it looked like he was an IT guy in the Air Force. I mean,
Yeah,
that's a
yeah,
it's a brilliant start to a career when you're a young man. Like you're learning a trade. You've got a guaranteed job for however many number of years. And yeah, man, they poisoned him against it. They made him think that he had a, you know, he had some role in some genocide or some shit. And he killed himself in a terrible way. Like it was
yeah.
awful. I mean, but it was funny. So a lot of people like memed on that shit. Like, because I mean, it like before you found out he was crazy, it was a lot funnier. I feel like now it's not so funny. Like now I just feel really bad about the kid. But
I haven't
um
I haven't seen as much. The only thing that really rubbed me the wrong way was, and it wasn't like, oh well, after a few days of considering, we've decided to do this. Like as soon as I saw that story, like first there was the picture, right? And then shortly after the whole video, and it was posted with the caption that I've got permission from the family to post this. So to me as
yeah,
a parent, I think the
nobody.
if my kid ever did something this extreme, there's no fucking way I would ever say, yeah, hey, I'm glad they recorded it. Make
Yeah,
sure you
please
show it to
post that.
everyone. That's a good idea. Let's do
Yes.
that. And then it
Yeah, I don't
doesn't
think
really
that's the
align with what
case.
you're saying about her mom or his mom in the church. Like
And
that doesn't.
and don't quote me. I mean, look,
Yeah, no,
I don't
I'm
trust
not.
anything on social media, but
Yeah,
it did like there was something about it that like did resonate because it's like so many people I know of that age of this young man that he died at, you know, like they rebel kind of against their parents,
right.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and it kind of jived with me that like, you know, his because in the message apparently like his mom was like even like, you know, we pray for Israel or something, and like, you know, that
Well,
set
that's
a whole another group of idiots seething. But but yeah, I don't. I mean, I make everybody mad because I just don't. I have a lot of relativism when it comes to like that part of the world
yeah,
for the most part. Like, I just don't really see any side as being awesome. But you know, if you're gonna judge some of the folks over there, I would say that like the Israelis are as close to an ally in that region as we're gonna ever get.
yeah.
And yeah, man, they're just gonna have to handle some business right now, and I think we just need to keep our heads down. Like, I don't know.
Well,
It's
I go
rough.
back to the point where you said it's like a mental illness thing, and this is what's kind of odd to me is because I'm out of that world now, but I saw once we shifted some things during the medical version of the enlistment process. Like they're catching way more, and that's leading to a lot of this like automatic disqualifiers.
Yeah,
And this guy made it through, so
man, but I
it's
don't know.
it's kind of weird to me because he's also not being, at least as much as I've seen recently, because we had this huge thing about extremism in the ranks, and we have to do a stand down and talk about all that. And yet the spokesperson that came out, I can't remember if it was from the Air Force or it was just a DoD specific spokesperson, was kind of refused to even acknowledge that this person was an extremist. It's a
Oh,
tragedy.
that's terrific.
Yeah, like okay, but
Yeah, I mean, he's like literally lighting himself on fire to like an
screaming a
act of,
political message. Isn't
yeah,
that
I don't know, somewhat extreme, I'd say.
I,
Like maybe, like, I don't know.
I
I can see where people these days don't think that lighting yourself on fire is extreme, but I still count it.
anyway. And then I saw earlier today, you got like these veterans now, and I guess, yeah, I don't know if they're at the exact location where this took place, but now they're there lighting their uniforms on fire and joining the protest. It's like they don't
Oh,
want to
that'll
put
show
on, I
us.
guess, and do the same thing, but
Yeah,
but yeah, I'm just curious if any of them are, if any of those veterans are actually disabled or receiving any sort of benefits, if they give those up
I
to
don't know.
they like cashing the checks.
Yeah, I doubt it. I'll bet they like the checks. probably.
Checks are nice.
Most of them do. Most of them do that. Like I remember. I mean, that's what caused like my like a little flare up with that Shane Hustle guy. Remember him?
No, the libertarian dude, was it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think he still like runs for office occasionally and
Oh,
loses.
nice.
I don't know. I haven't checked in on him in a while, but yeah, I mean that's what like really started like our little kerfuffle was um that kid that burned his uniforms. Like he was saying that he was in a murder cult and all that. And
You
the rest
started
was
the whole
history.
line. Look what you did.
Rest was history.
Started a
Yeah,
whole line.
but I mean like they burn their uniforms and show all the time. I don't know. I mean, I actually think most forms of protest are kind of useless. Like I think that like I don't know.
Well, at this
I
point,
don't
because they all instantly get turned into a meme. Like, did you see like immediately there's like someone with this meme about the Air Force ignite your career? That's showing something.
yeah, like
But
everything can be
everything
turned
instantly
into like
becomes a meme. Like everything. Like
right,
nothing.
yeah.
We're just
Well, in like a cringy meme too, right?
yeah.
Like yeah, I don't know, man. It's not a good time. I can say that.
But it's got to end though, right? Don't you think? Like, we're because I know like we've
Yeah.
ramped up pretty heavily with the social, like with the popular, with like kind of the proliferation of all these social media accounts, especially TikTok,
Hmm.
Twitter, X, whatever. Like at
Yeah,
some point, it's
everything
got to
is.
kind of run its
Everything is.
course, right?
Huh.
Although I don't know, we're implanting chips into each other's brains now, so who knows what the next
I'd
evolution.
get a chip put in my brain too.
Would you
I'd do
do
that.
it? You do
Yeah, I'd
it?
do that. Yeah. I'm an early adopter, man. I got all the new shit. I'll put a chip in my brain. I don't think that it'll be like people say. Like I don't
It's
know. We'll
cyberpunk,
find
ain't
out.
it? Like that's where we're headed.
I mean, why would you not put a chip in your brain? That's what I'm saying. I mean, like right now,
I
like I
like
can
my
prove
hair.
it. You want to see, like, Alexa, Kool-Aid, please. See if it does it. I won't do it. Alexa, stop. We'll have to do it later. But like, yeah, man, I do all that. Like, I got that bitch spying on me all day too. Like, I don't care. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, get a Neuralink chip. Like, then I can control the lights in here with my mind. I don't have to say shit out loud.
Isn't that kind of just
Well,
like the evolution of the clapper?
it
Clap off,
is 100%.
clap off. I kind
Yeah,
of like the idea of that. Why don't we just stick with clapping for things? It's like Morse
you
code.
could. Yeah, like Alexa, all lights off. See if she does it. See this? Alexa, let's work late. Now my lights aren't going to come fuck back on. Alexa, let's work late. Oh yeah, this is not
All right,
good.
so the
Hold
lights
on.
will be on tomorrow morning when Gruntpa wakes up. That to me is kind of like because
I'm
I
not
don't
supposed to do this. Hmm?
well I don't know. Uh-oh.
What?
You're not supposed to do. Oh, you said you're not supposed to do this, and then you threw your ear.
Well, no, I mean like the Alexa and all the lights, like the joke always is like if you're an information security professional, like your house is like nothing but like deadbolts and
That's what I was just
you know
about
what
to
I mean?
ask.
Like, yeah, yeah.
You're
Yeah.
not concerned with that, huh? No.
I mean, yeah, I'm concerned about it, but like what do you I just don't think that like if you're gonna keep I don't think you're gonna keep anybody out anyway. You know? Like
No.
what threat model are you using? Is my first question always. Like if you're really worried about the government spying on you, removing Alexa devices is probably not going to be enough. You know what I mean? Like they're
I,
probably going to take a further step to surveil you than like just be like, ah, you know, we were really going to stop this terrorist syndicate, but they didn't put any Alexas in their houses, and so we don't know what they're saying. You know what I mean? Like it's always that argument, like they're spying on me, and I'm like, if they're spying on you, you're fucked anyway. Like, and
I
you'll
mean,
know it. Probably.
yeah. I mean, they probably are, right? Because everything's in our phone at this point. Like,
Yeah.
it's
If you
instant.
hang out with, yeah. The thing I always say is, if you're hanging out with someone stupid, yes, they're spying on you. If you've said something stupid, probably spying on you. Like if you've
Everyone.
threatened a politician, or you know, like you've talked too much about the tree of liberty being watered and shit. Yeah, you've probably fucked up. Like, and I mean, and I know what's going to happen next is like 15 people are going to come to me on Twitter and be like, it's my God given right to say that. And I would agree with them. It still won't change the fact that now you're going to be fucking spied on, dickhead. Like, I didn't cause that. I'm just reporting the news.
Just
Not a,
reported the news.
yeah, I'm not a participant in this fact. It's just a fact. So yeah, you've seen it too. Like a lot of our folks, like they've got visits from feds and shit every time. It's like because they said something fucking stupid, or they're in some chat group that said something fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Every time. Yeah.
Put a sticker on the Capitol buildings.
Right. Yeah. That was brilliant. Like they didn't cause any drama for anybody at all. Like 4 people got fired. Like fucking like 3 investigations. A lot of wasted money. Like we're always bitching about like tax dollars being wasted, and then we're just wasting all the FBI's money investigating our stupid asses.
What do you think about that? Because that's a good kind of. I mean, it's not where I wanted to immediately go, but it is kind of the institution factor. I don't know how you were when you were growing up, but I just remember growing up like the FBI, like all these 3-letter agencies. Not so much the ATF. I never really understood that one. Just from like once I realized what it stood for.
Right.
But like the FBI was always to me growing up, especially with my dad kind of being in law enforcement. It's just like, wow, the FBI, like those guys are the most legit, like they're super awesome.
Yeah, man.
The soft serial killers and all this stuff. And now they just become, again, to keep using the word, but now they're a meme of themselves of what they used to be. And
yeah,
do you think that's like a legit thing, or is this just we just don't have any faith in anything at this point?
I don't have any faith in anything at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of what
I mean, I bet that the FBI for the most part probably still functions well and does its job for the most part. You know,
yeah.
the problem though is that like there's enough of them in places to affect things that I don't want to affect, and they do. You know, like I don't want. It's like the CIA. Like I've had this conversation I think with the cowboy before, where he was like, fucking get rid of the CIA. And I was like, like you kind of do need a CIA, right?
I think so.
I think if you're gonna keep an empire, even in its
decline,
like small, even in its decline, like small empire, like we're not. You'd still need something like something like a CIA. Maybe not like the full CIA, but like a CIA. I think we need a better CIA for sure. Better FBI, better government all the way around. Actually, I'll just go that far. Like we could do better, but I don't think we could do without it anymore. I used to do that libertarian like thing where we're gonna get rid of everything, and then I was like, get rid of everything, and it's fucking chaos. I think.
Do you think that's where it's headed though? At some point, probably not in our lifetimes, but
degrees of it.
Theory. My theory is that I think we're just too large, and the people that are in power are just too removed from everyone else outside of like the little, what do they call it, like the DMV area, right? Like because, and I know we'll get into this at some point, but I think back to the original Civil War, the first one.
Okay. Yeah, the first one.
Yes.
Right.
People out in fucking California, like just trying to make it out west. Do you think they had any fucking idea what was going on back in the actual states that were fighting this until they got like a newspaper 4 months later? Like they're just, they're not dealing with this shit. And it's almost like
I don't think
a lot of our problems are just the fact that most people to the west of this little tiny area that controls everything just don't care. They just care of like, did I get home in time to watch my fucking Netflix? Do I have ass? Like
Jeopardy's on at 7, right?
Whatever. Like I got the party at 9. Like just everyone's just so self-absorbed in what they like their own shit. Like they're not super worried about all that other stuff.
I don't know, man. I don't know if worrying about it does anything though, right? Like what this Twitter, I think, is like a really interesting place because you can always tell who's on Twitter by like how strong their political views are. Like, and what I mean, like, if you meet somebody on the outside, like if you meet a regular fucking person outside Twitter that's just regular, and they start talking to you like with crazy words, like and deranged fucking political beliefs, you're almost certain they have a Twitter account. But if they're just talking to you about like last night's game and what so and so did at church the other day, and they're probably not on Twitter. And like, who's fucking better off? You
Oh,
know,
you're
like
right.
this shit is not healthy for people. And we are, because we're like Twitter super users or whatever, we're on it all fucking day, hitting refresh, arguing with each other.
Mhm.
Like we have a very skewed view. Like maybe we're actually the not normal ones,
That's
you know?
I'm comfortable with that description. Be
Like
honest.
I think that like we're hyper obsessed with current events and politics and news and being first and all this, and like honestly none of that shit really matters.
That's true. It's the rush. I guess some sports dude I listen to is always saying everyone's in the rush to be first instead of right.
Yeah,
That's
Denzel Washington did like probably the best like ad hoc speech on this. Like he was on some red carpet thing and he had like this, I don't know, like 2 minutes where he was talking to a reporter and he was like, it's y'all that are like that have fucked it, you know? And he was like, because it's all about just being first. Like everybody's about being first, like not about being right. And then when you're not right, you don't fix it. Like you don't go back and say
yeah.
like, oh yeah, we were wrong. We were first, but we were wrong.
Mm.
Like you just move on to the next first thing. And it's just damage all the way along. I don't know. I agree with him. Like
You are a big Denzel fan, it seems.
he's my favorite actor.
Is he?
Easily. Yeah.
You
He's the greatest living actor.
you think the greatest living actor? Who would I argue with? Maybe.
I mean, there's a lot of good ones though. Don't get me started. Like, but I think he's the greatest. I like a lot of current
Well,
actors.
what do you say to someone whose critique on that would be like his range isn't very wide?
It's not very good. But like, here's what I'd say to that is, yeah, he plays the same character in every movie, but I like that character in every movie. You know what I mean? Like, and I honestly, I think he plays himself because in that interview, and in all interviews with him, he talks just like that. He acts just like that. He
Yeah.
is like Training Day, fucking all of them. Man on Fire. He's kind of the same dude. Even when he's a villain, he's the same as when he's a good guy.
My issue with Training Day, the more I go back and watch it, is like, so wait a minute, you pulled this off forever, and then this new dude shows up and in one day fucks your whole world
Just
up.
blows it all up. Yeah.
Like,
And it's Ethan Hawke of all people.
remember
Like that
that?
dude
Yeah, that
doesn't
guy.
seem
Come on,
like,
Ethan
yeah,
Hawke. He's a fucking.
I don't
He's
know.
not even Tony Hawk's son. He's just
Kind
Barnum.
of a goober. He looks like a goober.
The only guy that I guess I could throw out. I mean, like, there's the usual, right? Like DiCaprio and all those dudes. But
Yeah, DiCaprio's really good. Like
I
he's
love,
really good.
yeah,
People hate
Matt
like
Damon. I
people
like
hate
Matt
him
Damon.
because he like only fucks 18-year-olds and he's got all this money.
It's on
But
that
like
list.
he's good. McConaughey's really good, you
McConaughey,
know.
yeah, but McConaughey doesn't really. I don't think he's ever really been like.
Bro, you
He's
better
not
be
like a
careful.
leading man, kind of. You know what I mean? No, I'm saying he is, but he doesn't do enough anymore. He's just kind of like he's himself, like you just said about Denzel. Like he's
Yeah,
look,
he
it's
is a
Matthew
little bit of
McConaughey.
himself. He is kind of the same
Like
guy
I
too.
can't name a movie he's done since like The Wolf of Wall Street that he's been in. And
Just
even
True
that,
Detective since then, didn't he?
well, he did season one, which I think was after
Yeah,
that. Like that was
he
great.
did. That was
Like
the best
man
thing
smoked
ever.
so many cigarettes, and like oh my,
Right.
and deep too, and always like
Mm-hmm.
oh, that was
No,
very
he was
loud
smoking them.
watching. Yeah, like that was
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was
he was a
I like it.
smoker.
I like McConaughey, but he's also kind of like a character of himself. Like he's kind of like
A little
that
bit.
same dude. But the only one I would
Mhm.
argue, the one that just creeps me out is Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah, yeah, he's really good.
He's good at playing like fucking
Mm-hmm.
like you believe that he's actually killed all these people. Like I think
I
maybe
think so. He might have.
I saw he just wrote a book, or I just saw a commercial. He's got an autobiography coming out. I guess he gave up or had some scare with alcoholism like 48 years ago, and it like changed his whole life.
Sounds familiar.
That's a lot because probably not 48 years ago for you, but
No, no,
yeah,
not quite.
he's significantly older. Or what do you think of did you watch the Putin interview with Tucker Carlson? No.
Just clips of it. Just clips, just enough to try to understand the memes. Like I try to be a Tucker fan, and he'll get me for like this long, and then he'll lose me again.
Yeah.
You know, and like the Putin thing, I was like, I don't know. Like you can, I tried not to talk about the Ukraine war. I definitely don't talk about it on Twitter. I'll talk to you about it if you want me to, because this is a normal conversation. But like,
Yeah,
I
man.
don't even.
Mention it to your
I
folks.
try to. I try to never talk about that war online because people can't. Like
Yeah.
you can't talk about it. Like you have to pick a side and root for it. It's the only way you can discuss that war online. And yeah, I don't like Putin. I don't think that like our support for that war is good, but like I don't know. I don't really give a fuck what Putin thinks about things. I don't know. Call me crazy. I kind of think he's a scumbag. I've read about him. Like I don't know why. I get that like America kind of sucks too right now. And I see why people want to just go and hug somebody else, you know? And like we don't like dad anymore, and so we're gonna move out and we're gonna fucking love Putin, but like that guy sucks. He fucking sucks. He's terrible.
I don't know if you saw this part of it, because I don't know if it was one of the clips that made it in, but he was talking about, I think it started with someone in first Bush, and then it kind of continued with George, or no, it started with Clinton, and then started with George Bush, the second one, Bush 43, where apparently there was a consideration of Russia joining NATO, and they would build like a worldwide missile defense system.
Yeah.
And it you know, of course, we're only getting Putin's side of it, right? Like no one else is. And you know, listening to that, I was like, well, holy shit, that could have really legitimately changed fucking global security forever. Like, I mean, here we are almost 50 years later.
Imagine a world where
we really still need to just be like, oh,
yeah,
we have to permanently think Russia's our enemy after they were our ally and arguably the greatest campaign
and
ever.
tried to come in from the cold.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like tried to nationalize, and we sicked like the fucking IMF and all these like shitty people on them, forced them to loot their own country to the oligarchs. You know, I mean, we fucked it like bad, like real bad on Russia. Like I don't know. I don't want to cozy up to them. What's that?
I said now we have BRICS to deal with too. So
yeah. I mean, the whole thing is just not good, and a totally unforced error. Like again, we started the '90s with everything in our favor, like everything in our favor. Like we had I don't know, like a Congress and a president that didn't always like have the same political parties, but still managed to like keep us somewhat prosperous. We I think we balanced the budget one year.
Yeah, Clinton. It was balanced when he left.
Like we kind of had our act together for just a minute, and yeah, like we just got greedy and I don't know, stupid.
Well, it was the '90s, so I blame grunge.
Yeah, you don't like grunge?
Grunge and gangster rap. That's what I blame.
I feel like you would have liked
me growing up in it, yeah. But now when I look back on it, I'm like, this fucking sucks.
Oh man,
I could have been a grunge star, bro. 4 chords. I play 4 chords all the time. That shit is so fucking like anyone could have been Kurt Cobain. Like
right. Yeah, I really liked the '90s, but I don't know what we did then. Like I don't know what we were up to. We should have been like preparing for all this other shit instead.
Well, I mean, now like we could obviously arguably look back. I mean, look what did we spend the last 20 years doing? That's where it started.
Yeah,
it all kind of rolled into that, and now that's a real shitty thing to look back on though, because it was just I'm sure for you as much as it was for me, like that whole experience like changed my entire life trajectory. Right?
Yeah.
Now, like to go back and just feel like maybe you made the wrong decision, or maybe you didn't, but it's just kind of.
I'm rereading that I think his name is like Tom Ricks or something. Like it's a book called Fiasco. It's about the Iraq War. I read it when I first got out, and I got really angry and I said I'd never read it again. And now I'm reading it again.
Are you still angry?
Man, yeah.
More.
For
different reasons though.
It's just like now it's done. You know, it wasn't over when I read it last time, and part of why it made me mad then is like I had this thing where I was like, as long as this war's going, I'm never going to talk against it because I know what it's like to be in it.
Yeah,
and I know what it's like when people talking shit about it, like while I'm in it, and it sucks. Like it sucks. Like it makes me not want to be here. it makes the whole like it makes me have to argue with soldiers. Like I'm just not going to contribute to it. As long as the war is there, I'm going to support the war. As dumb as that sounds, and I know like again like Lolbert's just like got out of their chair pointing at the fucking screen, but like I'm telling you guys, like I just didn't like it. It's a personal thing. You can fucking still hate the war. And but once that war is over, I was like, I'm anti-war. I'm loud and proud about it. And yeah, it's over now, and I'm reading it. And you know, my best friend from the war, the army, and maybe like in my whole life, like just got out, like just retired sergeant major.
Awesome.
And yeah, he's out in the book, and like I'm just going through it, and I'm like, man, we really got fucked. Like this was really shitty. Like the Iraq one, you know, I'm always kind of standing for the Iraq war online, but like, God, did we screw that up at like the strategic, operational, political levels? There were parts in there that I'd like totally forget. Yeah, man, what a fuckhead.
It was him.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
You know how
yeah,
we
it
talk single
really,
points of failure? That was
man,
literally it.
you can put a little bit on Franks and some of the others, but
Yeah.
like, I got to say that like grand fucking prize for dumbest shithead in Iraq era at Easley Brimmer.
Hey, we got
Like,
half a
especially,
million military-aged men who just left the army and they kind of want
right.
some help. Ah, fuck them.
No, we're just gonna make them pity. We're just gonna take all of their money, all of their clout, and leave them unemployed because they'll just sit around and not work.
Great idea. It's totally, yeah,
That's
they're just
that's
hangout. We'll become
everything I know
farmers
about
and live in peace.
everything I know about Takriti fucking Sunnis is that they just love to sit around while you like drive by their house in your Humvee. Big fans of that shit.
Man, imagine the funeral that guy's gonna get one day. That sucks. That
Yeah.
sucks.
Yeah.
So you said anti-war, and where do you come out then with? This is hard to. It's just I'm kind of with you on the from the involvement standpoint, but I mean, how do we end the whole Ukraine Russia war at
You
this?
don't. You let like that's eventually gonna fucking peter out. Like, they'll either Korea that shit, right? To where they'll just armistice, like we're not gonna stop fighting, but we're gonna stop shooting.
Will
You know,
BNZ action over?
I mean, they're either gonna do that or Russia wins. Like that to me, that's the only two outcomes. Like, there's no outcome where like Ukraine gets to walk away. I think they certainly don't get to keep anything. Like they don't get anything back.
Yeah.
So like whatever they're holding at the minute they stop fighting will be what they get if they get anything. And again, I just don't see it ending. Like why would it? Like there's a finite number of people and money in that war for Ukraine. There's not so much on the other side.
What, you think it's finite for Ukraine? It doesn't seem like it.
I mean,
From a monetary standpoint, I would say.
well, I don't know. I don't think that the one problem that we've got as a democratic republic for war is war weariness just works us harder, you know? And this, even though we're not in it, we're paying for it. Like I even see like liberal type people that are like, what the fuck? It's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Because to them, like, look, we're bitching because, you know, we don't like taxes and spending on anything.
Yeah.
But to them, like there's schools, there's all these things that like liberals want to fund. And they're like, instead, we're just giving it to shoot, you know, bullets at people. There are still some real liberals out there that like are actually
Oh, I
just
know.
liberals.
Yeah,
Like
no,
I
I
say.
100% agree.
And
I know
and
several.
yeah, and I think that like yeah, and that's part of the base for like the Democrats. Like I think they're even warming up to the idea that Ukraine's not going to win. Like no amount of money gets them a win. Like period. Like there's no way they win.
But
There's
it's
just a way they don't lose. Do you think they could win? How would they win? What would they do?
no, they can't win without the actual other soldiers
Right. They need, yeah,
contributing
soldier, yeah.
troops.
And
Like
we,
that's the
God,
same
and
way
we need to stay
Germany
out of
was.
that shit. Right.
Well, that's what I've
And we're
heard.
the only ones that would contribute. So we need to stay out of it.
And we don't
Like,
have, I just said this like a week or two ago. Like we don't have enough soldiers in our own fucking uniforms to
bro,
protect. So like we're
no.
we don't have the numbers anymore without playing a really bad card.
And I don't feel like we have the numbers, and I don't know things. The kids are all right. I don't want to be the guy that's like all these kids
No,
these
it's
days
yeah.
because I just went down to the line. Like I actually went to my old regiment, like kicked it, made fun of staff duty, like
That's
went
fucked
through the
up.
whole thing. Like it was fun. The kids are looking good. You know what I mean? Like order and discipline, I think it's still present, but I don't want to see these kids go over there and fuck with that shit.
No, fuck that. Well,
Like we have no interest in that. Like just so that somebody's got a, so that the Republicans and the Democrats take turns money laundering in that fucking place. Like
yeah.
I'm good.
I mean, but that's where like I still see it with some guys, and it's dudes you probably would recognize, and I won't say their name on this because I mean I get it, but like there's just some guys that came in too late, and they missed their chance. Just the way that the rotations worked, and they're like, oh, I just want to get over there, and it's like, do you realize what you're saying? Like it's really
Then
stupid.
just go. They
It's
take volunteers.
yeah, like it's a
Like
really
then just
stupid thing.
go. I mean, it is stupid, but like I understand that better than I think. I won't say than anybody. I totally get it. I guess is my point. Like I joined what was obviously now like not a war of like patriotism. It wasn't really a war of like defense and any, you know what I mean? Like it was an offensive war to regime change somebody that we just didn't like. That was it. Like it's pretty simple. Like you can argue about other things, but that at least is what we know is certain. Like, and that's what we did. And I'm so thankful I did that. I really am. I know it's stupid, and I know that like a lot of people suffered for it, and I don't ever want like I'm not saying that like their suffering was worth it so that I enjoyed it, because I'm just saying that like the war didn't occur because of me, but it did occur, and I did participate in it, and I am thankful for the lessons that I learned in it. But and so yeah, I get the impulse to join. I get why these kids join. I get it. Like I get why they want to go over there. When I was that age, that's what I wanted to do. I didn't even care about the reasons. Like nobody, I didn't care about what reason we were going to Iraq. It really didn't matter to me at that age. And that's kind of how you're fucking supposed to be at that age. Honestly, I kind of admire you more if you're that way. It's the ones that are like 19 that have already like fedora tipped their way out of doing anything in their life that I'm like, fuck you, actually. Like, I would rather you go and make a bunch of dumb mistakes and live through it and be wrong about your politics and then grow up than have always figured it out since the age of 17. Like, what a
Yeah.
fucking boring person you are.
I think you hit on something where you said it was an offensive war, and we've been like gifted by the gods of geography to not have to
Yeah.
do actual defensive actions. When, like, I mean,
Never
we
happened.
don't have anyone make the case for all of our constant participation in Ukraine. Like they never actually made the case to the American people. I mean, at least they trotted out God, what was Colin Powell to sell Iraq to?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like they sent him out with all kinds of like high speed
God.
fucking straight from the TASS seed.
That dude cashed in every integrity chip he had too, which sucks. Like he was sitting on fat stacks, and at the end of it, he's just flipping
That
one
guy was
coin.
like the definition of like made it from nothing to the very top. It was like
Everybody loved him. Everybody's mom wanted you to become him when you grew up. And by the end of it, everybody like my mom would spit when she fucking said his name.
That's
Like
my favorite
everybody
Colin
hated
Powell
him.
picture. You may have seen it since you were at Benning, but like him when he was just like a younger officer and he had like the BCGs on because
Yeah.
he wore
Yeah,
glasses.
yeah. Right.
How do I take Colonel Powell seriously with these fucking giant fucking beer
Right.
goggles on? But yeah, like so they haven't even done that. Like it's like they're just
They don't need to. They don't need to. They got the Democrat machine on it, you know? Like
But
all
isn't
they
that the
have to
other
do
irony?
is
Like I thought they're supposed to be we're anti-war. We
it
don't
was
want to do
never
war.
genuine.
Like
That was never genuine. Like, yeah, that was just politics. Like, that was the best thing about being a Democrat is you don't actually have to fucking have principles. Like, it's got to be fun. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you know that they're just sitting around like, bro, yes, we just said that last week. And of course we're contradicting ourselves, but fuck them, you know? And we're over here just like, I don't understand. Like, they're not playing by the rules. Like,
it's
you know
yeah.
what I mean? Like,
You
it's
just
so
said that,
fucking
right?
stupid.
Just fuck the rules, just win, basically. Is that what kind of I saw?
Man, yeah, like, make up whatever story about how noble you were when you win. Like that's what everybody else does. Like, right? Like everybody else just fucking kicks the shit out of the other guy and then is like rewrites the book. Oh, I offered a chance and he turned us down and let's rewrite the story at the end. Make yourself a good guy. I don't give a fuck. Just as long as you win, that's how you do it. Like
It's written by the winners, sort of thing.
it is.
There's losers books out there, I'm sure. There's no reason.
No one gives a shit. You know what I mean? Like you're a fucking loser, bro. Like
you lost.
all you did was write a book. You didn't win and write a book. You just wrote a book.
Like it reminds me of all like I don't know if it was you or whatever that like it's just someone who's it may have been when I guess that what's the book? The fucking book on the Native American Summer Moon or whatever the hell it's called.
Oh, Killers of the Flower Moon?
No, that was the movie.
Oh, was it?
You're
talking about the
Empire
Comanche
of the
one? Empire of the Summer Moon.
Yeah, Empire of the Summer. It's like who cares? Fight harder. You lost. Like it's not stolen land. There's no such
conquered.
You conquered exactly. You lost.
Right.
You lost
It is like
yourselves for a very long time.
Yeah.
So, those motherfuckers.
I mean, you lost to a communicable disease mostly too. Like
yeah.
The fuck. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm Cherokee. I have very complex thoughts about other Native American tribes that used to fucking kill my people.
Yeah.
And Civil War and all kinds of shit. Like, yeah, it's it's fucking complicated. But in the end, like the winner gets to kind of determine how shit gets told. And yeah, like Russia's gonna win that war, like at this current pace, liberals are gonna win one here, like it's fucking how it's gonna be. Like somebody with pink hair and X's in their pronouns is gonna fucking, be mowing the grass in the fucking cemetery that you and I sit in.
When does that end? Do you think? Do you think that's that ever? Like we can't keep.
I do think that shit ends.
Like there's gotta be the pendulum, right? Like it always.
That's what they say.
That's what they say. It's usually the winners who says
this.
Right? Someone's gotta start winning again.
Checks in the mail, man. Checks in the mail. It'll be pendulum will be swinging right any minute now. Just wait.
Goodness.
I don't know. I'm ready. Like I'm fucking ready. Like every day, I'm like I am more and more reactionary. It's getting pretty fucking scary.
That's a good point. I don't like the whole state of reaction all the time.
Right.
Like
I want to go back to being one of those people off of Twitter.
All right. Now let me just transition here because
okay. You're gonna transition?
Yeah.
You're gonna put some X's in your pronouns?
So real quick, we're gonna have a commercial break. All right, we're back. So you wrote, or you at least posted a series of things that I really like. They're very. I think I may have said this to you before. I think you say a lot of the things that I think, but I just don't know how to somehow put them into those words on the fucking X at this point.
You honor me. Okay.
Yeah, no, I'm like I catch myself reading it. Like same with Lafayette Lee. Like I'm like the two of you guys are always saying shit that I think, but I don't.
Him, I get it. Yeah. Me, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? But okay,
you say some good stuff. You're just you're way more measured than I am, and maybe it's because you drink non-alcoholic beer, and I sometimes get a little quick with the fingers because
your stuff's a little heavy.
Exactly, and I just I sometimes can be a little quick on the trigger there. Now I will say, like, off of that application, I'm way more of a measured person. I've done fairly well for myself by not being that person sometimes, but
right.
It's kind of like what you said to start this conversation. I'm trying not to be myself from a year and a half ago or whatever.
That's right.
But anyway, you said something because unfortunately it's at least in the side of this app that we engage in, like a lot of people have really twisted fantasies of stuff that they're going to be like, the next great hero of the Civil War and lead everyone out. And,
I'm a nobody in this world where everything is easy, but in this world where everything will be 100 times harder, I'm gonna be fucking amazing.
This is what I was meant for, right? Yeah, this
Sure.
is when
Yeah,
my
yeah. It
potential
makes total
truly gets
sense.
a match.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you said if we're really in prepping hot take territory, then here's
Oh
mine.
no.
This is what I like.
Yeah. Oof.
For most of you, it's pointless. No amount of money or training is going to help you develop the attitude necessary. Just buy more consumer retail products and drink beer. Enjoy while it lasts. And you
He's
followed that
insane.
up with many of y'all can't consume the daily political news and keep your shit together. The personal suffering and moral dilemma of a shit hits the fan situation is going to grind you out. Some cursory training, bullets in a can, a dusty rifle, and a few seed packets ain't going to mitigate this. I like the seed packets because I always hear these prepper commercials where it's like, hey, you
Yeah,
throw in get your Patriot pack of MREs and you get
sure.
a pack of
Yeah,
heirloom
yeah.
seeds for your
You're
garden.
gonna fucking you're gonna like plow and till and plant and like harvest all the while that you're pulling security on it and I guess doing fucking patrols. Like, yeah. Yeah, I'll be honest about that tweet. That was a little baity. Like it was all right. So I will point out that I started it by saying that it was a hot take. Like it was a hot take. Like it's meant to be. Like I thought that that's sort of like with all due respect, you know. Like I thought I could like say anything after I say this is a hot take, you know. Like I thought it was allowed, but it's not allowed. So a lot of people saw that as like I was shitting on new people. I was shitting on people who were trying. I was trying to discourage everybody. Like, which I leaned in on that last one because I was like, if you're fucking discover, like, if
Oh, I
my
wanted to follow
tweets,
up with that if you want, I could.
okay,
Okay, so yeah, so I was
yeah,
quote, you're not this is you quoting, just saying, I was going to prepare for the apocalypse, but this dude I don't know said my negative attitude was an obstacle I couldn't compensate for with gear and training, so I gave up. Quote by the person I was talking about.
yeah. Because this is the thing. Like, I was not trying to discourage. I do everything
Yeah.
that I'm making fun of. I also give myself the same likelihood and odds as I give all the others. Like I do all those things, but I do think that like the folks I know that I think will really survive are like my fucking sister. You know what I mean? Who's been, let's say that she's lived a difficult life, you know? But like I guarantee my sister can figure out how to get things that she needs. You know what I mean? Like she knows how to get along with people well.
Yeah.
She knows how to adapt to situations. She knows how to detect danger because she's been in places that are dangerous. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
those types of folks are who are most likely to survive. They
Right.
don't have probably, and I'm not saying my sister doesn't have this, but like they don't probably have fucking $200 in their checking account right now, right? Like their car probably has 4 lights on. Their pocket knife probably won't shave the hair off their arm. You know what I mean? Like they're not like those type of people, like or like our type of people.
Right.
But I bet they survive just fine. You know, but there are plenty of our type of people who have fucking like X5 legions and shit just laying around the house, you know? And but they quit, but they fucking quit. They quit all day at work. They quit all day on Twitter. Mentally, the cart path that they like loop around constantly is just everything sucks. We're not going to make it. It's hard, you know, like just bullshit, like all day. When I watch them on Twitter, it's like the same dudes who are all the day like about how you got to prep for the end of the world can't handle bad news from AP. You know what I mean? Like if the Associated Press puts you in your fucking feelings 3 times a week, the apocalypse is gonna be tough. Like you're gonna have a hard time. Like, and that's all I'm just saying. It's like I just think that like without a mentality of like being like, I will not quit, I'm not gonna give up. Every situation is something I can solve. Like if you don't have any of that, like who gives a fuck about all your gear and your training?
Yeah.
That's really my point. It's just about like mentality. Like these folks that are just in a constant outrage, fucking cortisol producing cycle, you're not going to be fucking handy later.
Not gonna make it.
Like, yeah, I would rather have one other person who has a good mindset, then fucking 20 people have good gear.
Trade that gear for pizza would be great.
Yeah, or just people with
It's
fucking
not
good
good.
mindsets.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like maybe you're right. Like maybe I'm looking at this wrong, but you know, in a pure exchange, absent any other things, I'm just
Oh,
saying
well,
I'd rather
it's
have
like I
people
don't know
with
if you
mindsets.
run with the Mark Sibley and are familiar with his book, like the Mongol Moon and now the sequel, but he's got that saying like, "There's no tacos in the apocalypse," and it was just like, man, that's kind of disheartening because I would still hope
I
that
will make
someone,
tacos.
yeah, I was still
The
hoping
fuck?
someone would make tacos in the apocalypse, like,
I'm gonna be honest, man. If you go to Mexico, which is the home of the taco, it's
right.
pretty apocalyptic. They got fucking tacos all day. I'm
Which I
gonna
know
just
you're a big
say,
fan of Mexico. I think we talked about this before.
I mean, a fan. Yeah, I'm a fan.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of sorts.
you still want it?
Yeah, but I'm not turning it into a state or something crazy. Like this would be a vassal territory of some sort. Like,
Maybe we're getting to that point. We got, Texas setting up a fob or whatever down there. I mean, it's close. Maybe the first thing's got to be a taco stand, like right at the edge of that fob, right? Like, there's got to be,
yeah.
because
Well,
every
you know,
fob has
like
to have some sort
every,
of local influence on it, right? Sell some,
but yeah,
get
like
some
every
local
little,
Mexicans to come on, clear them so they can make the time.
yeah.
Like we did this in Kabul in Afghanistan. We'd have like the local
Mhm.
Afghans making pizza.
The water trucks and shit. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We could do this. I Yeah, I wonder about the Texans, dude, because like every like 90 years, like they decided to just fucking invade Mexico, like filibusters, all that
There's a
shit, you
big
know?
part of that in that book we were just talking about too. The Empire of the Summer
Mhm.
Moon. Like there's a lot of,
Yeah.
fuck it, we'll do it again. We'll try. And then we'll just disband.
I mean, I these dude, the
Like the
Texans I
Texas
know of
Rangers were like
said
legit,
that
and everyone just gave up the whole idea of it for 20 years. The thing, hold on, I don't mean to get too distracted, but I thought, since I know you know the book, but the biggest thing I thought was still so relevant from that time to today is the disconnect between what is our modern day, like it was the Department of War back then, but our
yeah,
modern day Pentagon, like how disconnected like their beliefs and everyone living here in this bubble of civilization as opposed to the people that were in Texas, the Rangers dealing with this actual, Native
right.
American problem. I just thought, I'm like, man, it's the same shit almost 200 years ago.
It's
The
always gonna be like
disconnect.
that too, though. Yeah, it's always gonna be like that
That's
though.
wild.
Like, yeah, it's like as it's you've got your Romans sitting around the table, eating fucking snails and shit, and like then you got like your dude up in Albion or whatever, like like suffering in a ditch. It's the way of the world.
Um, Trying to go back to the mentality
Okay.
because I think a lot of what you described, I think a lot of that's learned behavior, right? Like you quoted
Mm.
basically an army
Do
value,
you?
right? Like and never quit, right? That's an army value that gets kind of like indoctrinated us, or as the army likes to say, that becomes inculcated in us at a very
I mean, okay,
right.
they say that though, but like I'll tell you something. Like, so that dude who I was talking about that just retired,
Yeah,
he and I were in Sop Sea together. Like we were actually in we rode the bus from Atlanta to the 30th AG
yeah, good old
and
30.
then we went to the 30th and we were bunk mates. Like we weren't bunk mates. He was in the bunk like literally next to mine,
Yeah,
both bottom bunks.
the
But
only
like
bunk to
through
have.
the only bunk to have, right? Like, we had to fight for that shit. It's the 30th AG.
It's
It's like prison. Like, you know what I mean? Fucking
a
yeah.
coming of
We had to
age
fight for
moment.
everything. Dude.
Exactly.
Like it's what you do at the 30th.
Top
Um,
bunk, not gonna make it.
no, not gonna make it. Right, right. Yeah, exactly, bro. You're totally not gonna make it if you're a top bunker at the 30th. But yeah, we did the 30th AG, then we did basic, Bravo 119, no big deal. Then
Mhm.
we went to airborne, but then we went to SOPC. And so our class was 0504. Um, and it was back when SOPC was SOPC. So like most people don't know what it is, but it is a very difficult course, let's say. And I saw a lot of motherfuckers who knew that army value not to quit, and they quit like all the time. There was like over 200 kids. We only graduated 79. Like everybody quit that course. And I wonder about quitting. Like I've for a long time tried to figure out because I didn't quit. I will point out I didn't quit there. I don't know if I would have ever quit. I still don't think I would ever quit anything, but maybe I would. Maybe there's something that would make me quit. But like I just I got fascinated by like the quitter, like the mentality of it, like trying to spot them even. And I felt like after a while, like I can see a person that's gonna quit. Like I can see it
It's like
on
a
you. Like
total Gruntpa thing. Like
I can smell it. Like I can hear you. I can hear your thoughts. Like you talk to me, I'm like, that fucking guy will quit. Like I can spot them now. And I don't know if they're made. I don't know if those kind of people are made.
Well, do you think what you're describing though? Because let's say those people you were talking about who quit, right? Those 121 of the 200
A
quit.
lot of them. Yeah.
But they obviously went back to just, I guess regular infantry, right? Or regular airborne.
Hmm.
Units. Maybe a
Yeah.
lot of them did some really cool shit.
I mean, I ended up
If
getting
you're
kicked out.
testing
So I mean, it's
someone
possible.
well, I mean, I'm just saying, like when you're just constantly putting someone in a tested situation,
Yeah.
maybe it's easier to find a quitting point as opposed to I always took the I will never quit. Like, let's take it to the extreme of what that value means. It's like you're in a combat situation, right? Are you going to sit there and
Mhm.
fucking just hope someone saves you, or are you just going to go until one of you actually wins that moment in time? Like
They'll all
that's what
be
it
a
always.
lone survivor.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, well, I mean, it's like
Yeah.
you don't want to be the person who quits in that scenario, right? And it helps to be surrounded by other people with a similar mindset because there's
Yeah.
obviously what we call power in numbers, right? That makes it a little easier that you're not by yourself. And I don't really think like we have a lot of issues with people quitting in that scenario, do you?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I had
Really?
kids quit on me all the time. Yeah, I don't like it. That was like the one thing that like I think that like Ranger Regiment and
Yeah.
like SF and stuff, like it's really not that everybody's like, oh, they have a selection process. Ooh,
Yeah, yeah.
the selection process. That's cool. That does help quite a bit, admittedly. Even the 82nd, because they have to be airborne qualified,
Yeah.
is weak of a selection mechanism or sorting mechanism as that is. I wouldn't even say it's selection, but like whatever we'd say that is, it's something that is a barrier of entry. And if you will jump out of a high performance aircraft while in flight, you'll probably pick up a rifle and walk forward into violence. Maybe it's likelier, like right?
Yeah.
More likely. I don't know if
Well, yeah,
likelier is a word.
probably more likely. I like likelier.
More
We'll bring
like
it up.
I likelier. I don't know.
I'll post this
Yeah,
with that quote, likelier.
yeah, likelier. So yeah, more likely. It's more likely. But the important thing that they have is not the selection. It's the ability to just flush a quitter or a loser, just flush them. Like your shit's in the hallway, get the fuck out, you're done. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like they can't do that in like regular army units. And so yeah, like I can remember one of the my favorite soldiers actually like went on R&R
Okay.
and like smoked a bunch of dope and hung
Good
out with a bunch
choice.
of California chicks. Look, man, at that point I wasn't judging him. But he gets back and he's like, I'm just not going on patrol anymore. Like, I'm
Oh,
just not. I'm just done. And I was like, I didn't know you could do that. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
that's one of
cool.
those
What do
moments as a leader where you're like, what the fuck do I do here?
I was like, where do
This
I
was
put it in my packet?
this was
Like,
not in the reading.
I also would not like to go on patrol. How did you pull this off? What did the commander say when you told him? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know what the fuck to say. Like, okay. And yeah, like he quit on me. I mean, we ended up convincing him to go back
Jesus.
out later on. But yeah, I mean, people quit. I don't know. Like I hate it, man. That's probably the one thing I hate the most. Is fucking quitters. Like you can ditch a bad plan. You know what I mean?
Mm,
Plan's not working. You can leave a bad plan as long as you pick up another one.
yeah.
Like to me, quitting is like a different thing than changing plans or even giving something up. Like I don't know how to describe it. Like quitting is like I don't know. It's like a lifestyle. I fucking hate it.
So where do you think people do you think the opposite can be developed though?
The like anti quit.
Well, you're saying like most people, you're saying in that scenario, you're saying most of you don't have the right mindset, right? That can be developed and trained too, can it?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think some people come by it naturally, but I
Mhm.
wonder. It's not that I don't think it can be trained. I think it's when it can be trained. It's like learning a language. It's best if you're young. Like you can learn French in your 20s. It's a
Right.
lot easier when you're 3.
Yeah.
Because like that part of your brain's developing, and you can take that and kind of exploit that moment. Like to me, like your mind is a loop. Like the best. I should confess, like a long, long time ago, I actually wanted to be a philosophy major, and I was going to be a philosophy of mind, like a consciousness kind of weirdo. And so like I've always looked for like a metaphor for like what your consciousness, I guess, is. And like the idea of like it's like kind of a loop, that like your brain's constantly like looping through
Mhm.
certain thoughts, certain patterns, certain behaviors. Um, and so to me, like, yeah, if your loop is in like again, negative thoughts, like cart path, like
Yeah.
you walk you walk this circle in your mind day after day after day, you wear a path and you won't leave it. And if that path is, I can't do this, this is too hard, everything's against me, all that, like, yeah, you're not gonna fucking ever win. It doesn't matter like how many bullets you've got. I don't give a shit. Like you're gonna be shooting some of those bullets and you're gonna be thinking, we're not gonna make it, this is too hard. It's like it's not gonna change. Like this is what I've always saying about like people that like you started this by talking about like the person who's like, yeah, I'm a loser today. Like I fucking, I draw water and I cut wood, for the man. But in this warlord scenario, like we're, the meek inherit the earth again.
Yeah.
Like what the fuck? No, they don't. Like the rich guy is going to pay all the dudes who can commit violence to commit violence on you. You're still going to fucking draw water and cut wood. Like you've got to hustle now, like hustle all the time. Pretend like you're at war right now. Like maybe do that and show us all what a fucking badass warlord you are. Like build your wasta now. What are you waiting on?
Mhm.
But they don't, like, because it's a fucking fantasy, just like most of this shit. It's like it's an action hero complex. Usually it's like dudes who didn't go to war, you know, at all and regret it, or they did go to war and it was the only time they ever fit in and they want that again.
It sounds like what you're describing. So I did my master's in organizational leadership. And I remember one of the topics that we had to really get into that it just kind of really upset me and it upset me because I realized there were people dedicating their entire persona from I guess, academic standpoint on trying
Yeah.
to convince me of something that I didn't believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I believe in natural leadership. Like I believe in people are born to be leaders. Like some
I
are
do
and
too.
some aren't. Like some people are natural followers, some are natural leaders.
Yeah.
And like I had to argue over 15 fucking pages why someone can be taught to be a leader. And I'm like, you can learn all of the theories and the principles and
Mm-hmm.
charisma. Like you either have charisma, in my opinion, or you don't. Okay. You can't, I can't
100%.
take, I can't take someone who is not charismatic and, after
We
9 week
could
crash course, you're all of a sudden fucking Hitler. No, you're not. You're just
we
not.
could make you we could make you less awkward, but we can't make you charismatic.
Right. Right.
There's a
So,
difference.
and I think what that is to me is like, I've always known in any situation I've been in, from being named a captain in sports or just rising quickly with fucking NCO things and all that stuff. I've been able to do that, whereas others struggle with it, right? And it's the same thing that I took to that class. It's like you're not going to convince me that the guy who struggled being in front of a fucking formation is all of a sudden going to turn into Patton. He's not. You can tell him everything that Patton knows. Like you can give him Patton's books, you can give him all this shit, but you know what Patton had? Natural leadership and charisma.
Yeah.
Those people are born. I don't believe they're actually made. They may be
Oh
made
yeah.
aware of what they have by being put into those situations, like what men mostly find themselves in war, right? So maybe someone
Mm-hmm.
rises from something that they never knew because they never had to until they had to.
They didn't, yeah, but in that case, they were always a natural leader. What they were missing was opportunity.
Right. Like if you're
Yeah.
and Jesse Kelly just tweeted this the other day, right? Like talking about I think it was a specific group from World War II where they were either athletes or farmers. Well, yeah, then the farmer who may have been an athlete as well, but if he's a farmer who's just farming his entire life, and next thing you know, he's thrust into a combat situation halfway around the world. Yeah, maybe he rises to his moment because he had all those things already to begin with. He just never had to practice on anything other than his livestock, right?
Right.
I would also argue probably a successful farmer is probably someone who's a natural leader.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of things I think with like that trade that are at least similar or nearly congruent with leadership. Like husbandry of animals is similar to like bringing up because it's kind of paternal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know, man. Like I've met people who were awkward and who were not naturally gifted leaders and saw them do an adequate job leading. Like adequate was the best they'd hoped for.
Is
Like
that what
because
you want though?
no, of course you don't. Like everybody knows what they want, but like
Right.
it's rare. But it's so
Yeah.
rare.
Yeah.
Like it's that like stupid Heraclitus quote. Like I used to be so cringy. I had this shit on my leader book in the army. But you know, it was like the one that was like out of 100 men, uh nine hold on, let me see if I can get it right. Out of 100 men, um nine shouldn't be here, 10 are real fighters, or no,
It's the other way.
dude, I'm gonna fuck it
Yeah,
all
no,
away. No,
you're
no, no.
right.
Nine shouldn't be here. I got this though. Nine shouldn't be here. 80 are just like cannon fodder, basically. No, 10 shouldn't be here. 80 are cannon fodder. Nine are real fighters. They the battle make, but one's a warrior who'll bring the rest home. I
Yeah.
butchered that. Point is, I still got the ratios right. But like the idea is like, yeah, man, that one natural leader. I mean, yeah, he's a natural leader. There's like 100. Good luck. Like you're not
But
gonna
that's
find him.
also my point when it comes to going back to why I even brought that up was you're talking about the mindset. Most people don't have it,
Mm-mm.
which is what you were saying. And so I actually agree with the premise that if you don't have it, you're never going to have it. Like you can't learn that. You just can't. I don't think. Well, you definitely can't learn it. Or you know what? Maybe I'm going to
We
disprove
just
my
said that you
point.
could. We just said we could. Like, so we were talking about like that farmer who gets in the war.
Well, that's what I was
Now
just
he's
about to
got the
say. Like
opportunity.
maybe he doesn't realize it until he's forced into the
And
fucking.
that's the guy I'm hoping. That's who I was hoping to reach with that tweet. Like, because I don't care. Just like I said, like those 90 that I was just talking about, like
Yeah.
the not nine and not one. Like, I don't care about what they think about shit. Like on Twitter, like I'm not fucking selling anything. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have a fucking book that I'm coming out with that like I need
Maybe
any
you
of these
should.
followers
Have you
for.
write it on?
Man, I have a neglected blog that sucks.
I do
I've
regret.
thought about.
Yeah, the
I've,
drops, the digital drop zone. What up?
dude, I know. I've thought. Look, I don't tell anybody, but like, I actually have a date with a keyboard on Sunday. I've told
Nice.
myself I'm gonna fucking start it back up.
Dude,
Well,
I've been
because
talking.
some dickhead the other day noticed that my domain expired. Thankfully, he noticed it was only like 6 days after it had expired. I had to go buy it, but I bought it for like another 5 years, and I was like, that's a lot of coin to drop on a fucking domain name. Like, I
Yeah.
need to actually use this. So I'm gonna start writing it. But no, I suck at it, and I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I'm not good.
Yeah.
But no, I don't care about followers and shit. And so yeah, I don't care that like a whole bunch of people got their feelings hurt and shit because like they just proved my point. Like you're not gonna make it because a tweet made you mad. But like hopefully some dude saw that and was like, man, my thoughts lately have been really negative. Like this site is a bad influence on me. Like
Yeah.
I've started buying all these preps and stuff, but like the truth is like maybe I need to just work on myself more and like develop some positive energy and you know what I mean? Start believing in myself. Like I actually can do this. Like I hope that guy saw it or that girl, whoever. Because that was the point. It was like just have a good mindset. Like,
Well, you
man,
have to be positive. You can't be a negative person.
God, dude, there's so much shit going on. Like, and I talked to my old man the other day about it because I was was the world like a lot better? Because he's like in his God, he
Oh,
was
my
born in
parents say it all the time how great life was.
really because mine was like no, it was just as bad. He's like we just didn't have all this bullshit. You know, like it
Well,
wasn't. like people still had problems. People still
Yeah,
people still got murdered. Shit still happened.
yeah.
Like there was a constant threat of nuclear fucking war.
You remember
You
that
know,
growing up.
like
Yeah,
yeah.
same.
I mean, it wasn't always so fucking great. Like it's always been shitty. Like you just gotta drive on, man. Like
Yeah.
wake up every day, fucking put your boots on, fucking do your best, try to get some rest.
I do like the 90s minus the grunge thing though. Just saying.
Man, I didn't mind the
Oh, I
grunge
like
thing. I
the
look back
I
on it.
like the like because I'm a little older than you, but so I grew up with I remember a lot of the 80s. And what I
Yeah.
think about now is how much I really love the music. Like my favorite music, like I'm a fucking Iron
80s.
Maiden fan. And like all my favorite music and
Okay.
bands were from the 80s, right? All types too,
Hmm.
not just the metal, but just like the Depeche Mode, like all that stuff that started, like the electronic music started in that era. Like
Hmm.
the
New
80s were
wave shit
very
or
creative
whatever.
to me, I thought. I thought they did the most with the very early stages of technology with music. I thought they did a really good job of it.
Our
Then
buddy
we got
here is
into the
gonna hate me,
90s.
but I
What's that?
fucking hate most. I hate most 80s music. I just don't like it.
Really? That's a
Always
shame.
good. Yeah.
You know, you also said you like grunge, I think so.
No. Yeah. Good.
Which
Tells
explains
you
a lot.
everything.
It
Yeah.
tells you everything. Yeah.
That's yeah. Yeah. I mean, dude, I even like some of that like weird emo shit, like Kieran stuff. Like, yeah. But I
I don't know if I ever
can't
got
fuck with
into,
like
I didn't get into emo. I couldn't get into the voices. That's kind of like I'm a very discriminatory music listener.
oh,
Like,
like yeah, yeah. I don't mean like shoegaze emo. I mean like like Morrissey, Smiths.
yeah.
Like that's
Well,
sort of
that's
80s, like 90s, right? Kind of no, I
yeah, I
guess
think
it's not
Morrissey
90s.
was definitely 90s for sure.
I think so.
I mean, that's my argument with my brother. Like he has a really great taste in music, but some of his stuff, he can get a little extreme with the metal where it's like that, like the screaming type shit. The music's incredible. I'm like, bro, I just want the instrumentals. I don't need any of the
Yeah.
singing stuff. Because I love guitar. Like I grew up playing guitar. I love the theory
Hmm.
behind guitar. I love how it kind of essentially was a handheld version of the piano. Like it's an amazing instrument. The stuff we've been able to do with it, with electricity and all, it's just fucking incredible. Like I appreciate that.
Cool.
But the extremes of it, how we've managed to put like these really weird singers that just kind of ruin it for me. I'm just like, I just want, which is actually, I don't know if you know this because you got an iPhone, I
Hmm.
think, right? Have you seen
Hmm.
like this latest update to Apple Music where you can hit karaoke mode and it just silences the vocals?
No.
Yes, it's the greatest fucking thing ever. So I've been doing
No
that a lot.
shit.
Because my brother will send me,
Well,
yeah, there's like a little button you push on the song and it'll bring up karaoke mode. And it just reduces the vocals.
interesting.
It's awesome. Because now I can just do fucking instrumentals when he sends me shit. I don't have to listen to Satan screaming on the fucking track.
I like this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's totally what you need then.
It's that is what's cool about technology, right? Like I show my parents stuff all the time on their phones, and you know I remember getting my dad his first iPhone in 2014 when I was in Afghanistan for his birthday, and I kind of get a little frustrated with him sometimes because it's like, Dad, I got you this
Mm,
shit 10 years ago, and you're still acting like you don't know how to use it. Like
yeah.
you can literally take an entire car apart and put it
Right.
back together, but you're gonna try and tell me you don't know how iPhone works. Sorry, man, but yeah, technology's pretty cool, but
I love this shit. I'm all in. Like I told you, I'll get a fucking head chip. Like
aren't
I
we gonna lose
want
it? Like everyone wants to have this fantasy. Aren't we gonna lose all the tech? It's we're not gonna get
no, no, we're just gonna have like a breakaway society, I think. That is a conspiracy theory I believe in. Like I do think that
50 states
ultimately the
become 50
goal
independent.
we're just gonna have like two stages of humanity. Like you're gonna have like the one percenters are gonna fucking break off from the rest of us. They're gonna travel to the fucking stars
Yeah, they're gonna go
and
to
like
Mars.
leave the rest of us just on this like
Do you think
Earth's
when we see
alone.
that first rocket going up to Mars, it's going to be like the Afghanistan withdrawal with all those people hanging on?
Right. Like I'll be hanging on like a fin. Like I'll be over there like, take me.
I'm up, I'm on it. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
great. And then
Like
as soon as I get into it, like once the temperature drastically shifts, I just fucking burn up in the atmosphere.
basically. Yeah.
That would probably be a pretty cool way to go if you think about it. Like think
You'll
about the
pass
heat.
out at like 30,000 feet though.
You think?
Yeah, I know you will.
Oh,
Like there's no fucking oxygen.
oh, you've
Like
done it?
I'm fucking certain of it actually. In fact, I believe it as a
But
medical
how
fact.
quickly would it take? I think you're going so fast you can still appreciate it before you burn up.
You wouldn't burn. You would go really high and pass out, lose your
Oh,
grip,
there's
and then
always like
fall.
those, like when when our space shuttles re-enter the atmosphere.
Well, they do because they're re-entering. That's 80. That's like 80,000 meters above the Earth is when the divide between like vacuum space and our atmosphere is like 80,000 meters. I'm pretty sure. And where I'm talking about is like 14,000 meters. When you're going up, you'll not have enough atmospheric pressure to like fill your lungs. The oxygen, I think, is fucking super thin. And yeah, you'll just fall asleep. Like that's why the pilots have to wear a mask. That's why they have to pressurize the cabin.
Well, then just let go and do the world's greatest PLF back down.
That's what you're gonna do. Yeah, you're gonna need to do something. Like you're gonna have to figure out because you were headed back to Earth and you are not on fire.
You are not gonna make it.
You're gonna wish you were on fire, baby. But yeah, because it's a long trip down. Like it takes like a while to fall that far.
I know that whole terminal velocity thing always kind of messed with me. It's like, wait a minute.
You do not keep going faster. At a certain point,
you just stop. Like, why?
As fast as you'll go.
Shouldn't gravity continue to pull you faster and faster?
Well, it's because drag. See, look, man, I'm a nerd. I know why. I can tell you why. I can tell you.
We got all night. Just tell me why.
Well, because there's an equilibrium between drag and the positive effects of gravity.
Speaking of drag, have you had a good cigarette yet since that tweet?
No, but I've been hitting these stupid fucking vape pens and shit.
What is that? What's going on?
It's drugs. It's hard drugs. I'm doing heroin. That's a fucking
heroin via mouth.
Yeah, I gave up alcohol, but I was just like, fuck it, like give me some black tar.
Yeah, I told you, dude. Like every once in a while, I just get the inkling. I just go buy a pack of cigarettes.
I looked at them today, actually. You said that, and like I went to the corner store and like I saw some American Spirits in the green box.
There you go.
And I was like, man, that seems like a good idea. But then I didn't do it.
Well, that's good. Good for you.
Well, it's actually not because it's not out of like some health concern. It's because I was like, I'll smoke 2 of them and I'll fucking leave the pack and it'll.
Yeah, that's the point. Then you just leave it until like 4 months later.
They just get stale. Well, but then they're stale. Yeah. But then they're stale and they taste like shit. Oh, and then I'm like, I'm never smoking again. Then I'll throw them away and then I'll buy them like 6 months later.
Well, I just love like cycle. The new addiction is everyone with their Zen packs. I'm just like,
I had one of those yesterday.
That shit.
Do you remember that Trevor kid that used to be on Twitter?
Yeah.
So he's now, me and him are close.
That's cool. And, he seems like he always seemed like a really good dude. I like him.
Fucking great kid. I hope he doesn't hear this because he doesn't know I think that.
I'll text him.
Yeah, don't tell him. But he's but yeah, he's great. He came by because he's got to borrow a knife. He's going to Camp Slappy here in a few days, and so he needed a fixed blade knife. And being a fucking Yankee, of course, he didn't own any fixed blade knives.
He is from Delaware, right, or some shit.
Right, it's fucking Delaware. I was like, I didn't even know people were from there.
Yeah, like besides the president, like it's just Biden.
What the fuck
the only guy ever from that.
Right? Yeah. I thought there was like there's
Biden one rest stop in the entire state, and it's named after Biden. It's hilarious.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway, like he was here and he's on that shit like all day. Like he's as bad as a cowboy. He just like packs a fucking horseshoe around his fucking teeth all day. Like,
that can't be good.
Man, and that Zen, like I think they made it to be intentionally stronger than dip to like wrestle you off of dip. But the problem is like all these fiends that love nicotine just got hooked on that shit. It's like dudes who just like get high on methadone. Like it's like you were supposed to get off of nicotine, but like now you're just eating Zen packets all day.
Yeah, I just finally tried it back in January, and I was like, okay, I put one in. I was like, this is cool, and then I stood up and I sat back down because I had the flashbacks. My freshman year in college, when I went out for it was our first baseball practice. And so I was meeting these guys and I've never seen chewing tobacco or dip. You only saw it because like actual major leaguers used to do this shit all the time.
They can't, right?
Yeah. Like he didn't legislate all that out, but you weren't able to do it legally in the NCAA. Like it was banned in the NCAA. Right. But I remember because I was a pitcher, and pitchers, we were out shagging balls in the outfield for batting practice. And this dude, Travis Gilmore, we called him Happy because he had the whole Keystone bitter beer face thing. So we called him Happy. Always looks sad just
Yeah.
to be a fucking oxymoron. And he was a sophomore that transferred into our school, and like he was the first person I really met. And he's like, "You want to try some dip?" I'm like, yeah, or not dip. No, it was actually chewing tobacco. It's like, yeah, why not? I've never tried it.
Nice.
So I'm sitting there chewing Levi Garrett. That was
Yeah. That's a
Levi
good
Garrett.
shit.
Yeah.
Golden
What the
pouch.
fuck did I know?
That's what I like. Yeah.
Yeah. So I put it in. I'm sitting there in the outfield chewing, and I'm like spitting nonstop. I'm like, I don't get it. Like I'm not. I don't. What? It
Mm.
doesn't taste bad, but it's
Right. Just makes my tongue stick to the roof of my mouth. What the fuck
yeah.
are we doing
And
here?
then all of a sudden, like I'm in center field, and the Greg Lubert, the dude that's up to bat, he's a lefty, and all he does is hit bombs to center field. And Greg Lubert will fit into the story as I continue. So he hits one, and I can see it coming off the bat. I'm like, oh shit, this is going over my head. So I turn, and like everything from the chew at that point hit me at once, and
There you
I
go.
turned and immediately fell over. But my
Oh, yeah.
leg wouldn't work to go back in
Yeah.
front to keep me moving. It's like all of that buzz at once was like hit with the adrenaline of like, oh shit, you got to turn and run for this ball. And I fell the fuck over in the outfield.
Bet your team was proud.
Oh yeah. Well, so I was from Florida and nobody else was. And so my coach called me Florida. And all I hear from, 350 feet away is my coach, this little angry Italian dude, Coach Paino. He's like, Florida, get off your fucking ass.
Yeah.
That's fucking great.
And so Zen feels like this to you?
It was close.
It is close.
It was very
So
close. The
I
first one
have
did. After I had like another one, like it was fine, but
Mhm.
then it just kind of
I
became like, am I doing this out of habit? And then I haven't bought them since.
at SFAS, there's nothing to do. And I went to the selection back then that was like 28 days. And it
Okay.
was like you had one event a day. So if you did one event in the morning, you knew the rest of the day that you were just sitting there and you can't sleep. Like, cause
Really?
they'll take your fucking roster number down. And anyway, it's a whole thing. So like I would just go to the smoking section and just hang the fuck out. I had nothing else to do. And my tax at Sopsy, like they were smart and told me to buy just nothing but tobacco. And so I was showing off because I could put in like a lipper, like a full lip almost of coke, put in like a big wad of Levi Garrett in my cheek and smoke 2 cigarettes
That's
at
legit.
once. At once. I have like the best tolerance for nicotine. Yesterday, I put in one of those fucking Zens, and I was real cool about it for a long time, I thought. And there was a certain point where I was like sweating. I was like, I
Yeah.
gotta get this, I
Yes.
gotta get this the fuck out of my like this is fucking me up. Like this is powerful. Like this is too strong a medicine
Was it
for
a
me.
6 milligram or a 3 milligram?
Oh, I didn't even ask. I didn't know.
Oh,
I
yeah.
bet
I learned
knowing
that. It's different. So I
knowing
went
Trevor,
three.
it's 6. Guaranteed it's 6. Like, yeah, 100%. Like kid. I'm surprised he wasn't snorting it off the fucking counter. Like, like he's on that shit like pretty bad.
Well,
Like it's
so I'll get in trouble for saying this, but whatever. If anyone actually listens to this point, they remind me of what my coach gave because so again, this was 1999, freshman year 90. Yeah, so this is 99. And those bandits, the skull bandits that just
yeah,
came,
I remember
are
bandits.
kind of like the Zinda. And so my Coach Paino, angry
Mhm.
Italian dude, he dipped, he did Grizzly, I remember.
Mhm.
But some of the dudes showed up and started doing the bandits. He's like, those fucking fag bags you got in your mouth.
Yeah, you're definitely getting canceled for just even repeating that.
Yeah, but man, my coach I love that dude. I wonder what he's doing. I don't know, he might not even be alive. I don't know, but he was hilarious and he was just funny as shit. And he was this like 5'7", absolutely jacked monster he played minor league baseball. He was a catcher. Like he's just a cool dude. He was a fucking dirtbag. And he
I
said the
like it.
funniest shit. They don't make dudes like that anymore.
No.
They're not allowed to
No.
do. They're not allowed to
Yeah,
do.
they're not allowed to. Well, they still make those dudes, but
Yeah.
dudes just told to shut the fuck up and
Yeah, they're not allowed to be college baseball coaches.
no, man, not at all. Yeah, it's kind of a thing.
But that is my thing. Like because I remember what I would do in college, like, and it was a terrible habit, but I would smoke Parliament lights.
Parliaments. Okay.
Because there was a guy that smoked them, and that was the first cigarette I ever tried in college was a Parliament light. I was like, all right. because they had that filter that kind of ended and had like this.
We had a little part at the end. Yeah.
And then I've never really smoked except on deployments.
God, have I smoked?
It was Black and Milds in Iraq.
Mm.
It was cigars in Afghanistan, like a lot of cigars, like the big, not just like a Black and Mild, which is. And then when I went to the Middle East in 15, it was the camels that you like.
Oh, Camel Crush.
Yeah, Camel Crush. There you go.
I like Camel Crushes. No, for a long time, dude. The last cigarettes I was smoking like on the regular were Camel Crushes. Yeah, dude.
They're awesome.
Yeah, because I like the idea of a Camel Crush because I'm not burning the menthol.
Yeah,
right. Like
exactly.
I'm always like I don't know. It's like one more chemical I'm lighting on fire and breathing in.
Yeah.
Like menthol's out of all of them probably the safest, but like if I can just eliminate one more, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just want the flavor of the menthol. I don't need to actually
Yeah.
combust it. And then yeah. So no, I fucking love smoking so much.
I do. And that's why like I
just
found the account on Twitter. It's like the aesthetic of cigarettes or some shit like that. Have you seen that?
Oh yeah. I have actually.
Like I really think about we're talking about the 80s and 90s, like Marlboro Man.
But you
like,
can only do
advertisements for like capris with all the women were hot and thin. And
you know why that shit works though?
Yeah, I do know because we smoked.
Well, it's cool, but like the one thing I'm gonna say is if you could smell any of those pictures, it wouldn't be as cool. Wouldn't
you
be as
smell
cool.
like a man. That's what it would
Oh man, that stink. It stinks. Like
is that the cowboy? Did you think of the cowboy? No, he probably doesn't smoke. I'm just kidding.
He doesn't fucking smoke. He doesn't smoke.
I know. He does.
I smoke when I'm out there. He doesn't smoke.
Do you really?
Like because yeah. I anytime I'm in the woods, like I have to have at least one form of tobacco. I just feel like it's like a thing. Like when I camp, I always at least have Copenhagen. Like it's the only time that I will like dip on the regular, like especially if there's like a fire. Something about like it's putting in a lip and sitting by the fire, spitting on rocks.
So this goes back to the story. Greg Lubert, who I told you was up to bat. Well, he was a senior, and his uncle worked for the Skoal plant that was up in upstate New York, where we were at.
Okay.
And like every year, he would just send him a massive carton of logs of everything they made. And this was the first time he's like, nobody wanted Skoal cherry. So I was like, yeah, I'll take on the Skoal cherry. I'm, just a freshman just trying to fucking fit in with these older dudes. I was like, yeah, I'll take it. Yeah. So I go back to my dorm room and I'm playing what was it, Madden 2000 at that time. And I'm just sitting in my dorm room just dipping Skoal cherry. And I had a Dr. Pepper bottle that I was using to spit in.
I know this
at one point, you see where this is going. So at one point I got a new Dr. Pepper. And then I'm just on my like marathon of this game, and I go to take a drink of my Dr. Pepper, and I actually, took a sip of that cherry.
Tells old time. I did that with my dad. So my dad dipped Skoal mint, and he used to get it free from Skoal too, just like your buddy, because he was friends with Walt Garrison. Do you know who that is? It's like an old football player, I think. But he was also like a cowboy. Back in the 80s, I think he was a football player. It was like before my time, but I didn't meet Walt Garrison, but it was way later. But anyway, Walt Garrison would give him free Skoal. But anyway, my old man did Skoal mint, and he would, he had a spitter and would spit in bottles and shit. And I think I was like 7 the first time I drank a spitter. So foul. It's like the worst thing. And it's gross when it's your spit, but it's like 1,000 times more disgusting to know that it's another man's spit that you just swallowed.
God, he swallowed.
It's pretty bad.
It's the worst.
The only thing that I think is worse is there was a kid in Afghanistan that like he was on, we used to have this we had this one guard position that was actually just like a truck that we had to park like at the corner of this fob, and we just left it there all the time. So it was like, but like, obviously it would accumulate shit. Like all places that have soldiers that like if it doesn't move, like shit piles up. Well, like we didn't get CLP in like squirt bottles and shit like you're supposed to. Yeah. Like when we showed up, they were like, yeah, we're all out of bottles. Like, here's your CLP. and they just gave us like 5-gallon jugs of CLP. And so like we had dudes like just like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And some genius had like taken like Gatorade jars, like the jar
Yeah,
like
yeah,
of
yeah,
Gatorade,
yeah, yeah. The powder shit.
and
Yeah.
like started filling it with that, and then just poking holes and shit in the top, just like to fucking to work the guns, like because the marks especially like were a motherfucker. And anyway, he this kid like falls asleep, and then on guard, of course, somebody wakes him up, and he's like, oh yeah. And so like to get like awake, he reaches and grabs his Gatorade, opens it, and takes like 2 big chugs, and it was fucking CLP.
Oh my god.
And I was like, drinking a spitter is better. Like, I was like, I bet that dude didn't have a problem shitting for like, I bet he wasn't constipated for like another year.
Damn.
Fucking well lubed.
CLP. That's the worst thing I could think of. Well,
I would not want to drink CLP.
CLP still a thing.
Yeah.
No.
It will always be a thing.
I don't know if we got like a new version. I don't know.
Oh, I'm sure we have like a new version. Probably 4 camo patterns by now, but it's still the same thing.
I think about that, man. Like, because I told you what I'm doing now, but I think about the amount of camo patterns that I've just gone through, or just the uniform types.
I said that about when they first made the ACP or whatever pattern. I was like, they're just doing this so that they can remanufacture everything again. Like, they basically have made so much of a product that they're like, fuck, like, we're out. Like, this is over. And some genius at the Pentagon's like, no, we're going to do it all again in a different color.
They're also doing it with like the dress uniform. 3 different dress uniforms.
Right.
It's the other thing.
Oh, man, that was the thing I noticed. I will say, when I went to the Red Falcons again, like they have some cool photos, like we always do. But they had like a couple of them where they were like in payday activities kind of shit. Yeah. Fucking uniform. Everybody's in a different uniform.
It doesn't look.
It looks like shit.
Yeah. And then they give you a wear out date like 5 years later. It's like, well, that's no incentive.
No.
That's fucking.
Yeah, but I mean, you got dudes in blues and greens. You got pinks and greens, and I'm just like, fucking. Everybody needs to be in one uniform. That's the whole point of being in the army.
I agree. I've always agreed with that 100%. Like that's one of the basics that is very maybe, and I take your word for it because I do think combat arms are a little more, I guess, what's the fucking word? Traditional, I would say. I think they adhere to a lot more of the standards than other units outside of that. And it's not that I think it, I know it. So I'm not going to argue with anyone who's like, oh, actually my unit, like, good for you and your unit, bro. I'm just telling you, like, you're not going to convince me otherwise. But yeah, there's just the basics, man. It's the basics that we've just lapsed on over the course of the GWOT.
We were already on that shit though, because I was talking to my buddy about that. Like, one of the problems I had as an NCO back in the day was that, like, I'd have soldiers come to me and be like, oh, I'm a field soldier. Like, what the fuck is that? I'm a field soldier.
A field soldier. Yeah,
and I was like, oh, a field soldier. What's that? And they're like, I'm just really good in the field. And I was like, and I'm supposing that you just suck in garrison? And he was like, yeah, because I don't like garrison. And I was like, oh, so you're a half-ass soldier. Like, you do half the fucking job. Like, and in fact, probably less than half, because we're in the field not so often. Yeah. We're in garrison a lot. And if you're telling me you suck in garrison, but you're fucking great in the field, that means that most of the time you're useless. Like, fucking great, thanks. Like, that's probably not useful. Probably shouldn't have told me that. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm a little angry now. Actually, I wasn't mad until you start talking, but like, what the fuck is that? Like, I'm a field soldier? Like, if you know half the job is like not in the field, like, be good at that half too. Like, it sucks. Like, I do. Garrison stuff is fucking super stupid. I don't want to do it. You know? I don't want to do any of that shit. But it's your fucking duty as a soldier. You know? That uniform, yeah, it's stupid, right? Like, ceremonial and it's dog and pony, but it's your job.
I'm taking this note down. I'm glad you said that.
I'm getting.
That's a good note. I'm going to use that.
I mean, being a field soldier is better. I mean, I would much rather you be a field soldier then a garrison soldier if I had to have one or the other.
I can
But why
smell
the fuck do I gotta pick?
Yeah, I can smell that term though. That's the problem.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, your uniform looks like shit. Your boots look like shit. You didn't get a haircut Sunday before fucking first formation Monday. Like, yeah, you suck, actually. Right? Like, I'm gonna fucking one day have to pick you up because you beat your wife. Like, this is all forming a pattern.
Yeah,
Like,
that does suck. That is not
like, I
ideal.
don't give a fuck how far you could throw a grenade. If that's what the fuck you're up to, like, you kind of suck.
Well, hopefully you're not throwing grenades very far. That's kind of rough on the old arm. There's a picture. I can tell you that's not a good
I
thing.
would think.
I just
I never
remember
got
the
to throw a
grenade
grenade.
range at do you remember the grenade when you never did you ever do anything at Fort Jackson?
No,
Okay, so when I
never
went
even went to Fort Jackson.
yeah, so when I went to drill sergeant school it was at Fort Jackson, and when you went to do because drill sergeant school is nothing more than basic training again, right? You do everything week by week in sequence of what standard BCT is, not OSIT. Like, so yeah, like week 3 or whatever it is, or 4, when you go into the grenade range, there was this grenade training area where you would throw the shell. And of course, dudes are like, oh, it's a fucking shell. I'm gonna see how fucking far I can throw this. And then there was a fence. And the fence was probably, I don't know, 120, 130 feet from the actual line. And all these dudes are just trying to see how far they can throw this shell of a grenade. And me, I'm just like, nah, I'm just gonna do the proper form. I'm just gonna do the goofy little
You gotta.
That's it. And sure enough, dude fucking ripped his rotator.
Oh, bet. Yeah, dude, they're heavy.
Dumb, dude.
I mean, that was the one thing. Yeah, like they're fucking heavy. Like I used to in Baghdad for the first, well, because after like we did that torch mission, I carried a lot of shit back then because we were in helicopters. Like there was no resupply. You know what I mean? And yeah, I wasn't a huge fan always, mostly because we were in shit hooks. But anyway, but yeah, like I carried a bunch. I carried 2 fucking frags back then. But that was just because I thought I had to. Like in Baghdad, I trimmed it down to 1, but I never fucking threw a grenade. Not once.
No, never.
Very disappointing.
That's good.
Not
That's
once.
a good thing, I guess.
It's probably a good thing.
Yeah.
I think you usually only throw grenades under duress.
Yeah, it seems like it's gonna be a bad outcome for everyone involved if you have to throw them. So
my only reason to carry one even was just like I just imagined there might be some room out somewhere in Baghdad that I was just not gonna fucking go in. Like, I was like, there's got to be one in this whole city that I'm gonna be outside of one day and just be like, you know what? No, catch. Take this shit.
Like, it was when you cleared your 400 rooms like that one dude.
Yeah. Wasn't that some shit though? Like I always just like I'm amazed. But
I like how you were able to produce something that quantified what you did. It wasn't even close to 400.
Yeah, but to his point, it said 200 buildings. So if there's 2 rooms, just 2 rooms per building.
That's true.
Technically, I had 400 rooms. But like even that was a made up number, and I know it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I know my platoon sergeant was like, fuck, 200. I don't know.
Yeah. It's trying to get the award for you, make sure it doesn't get downgraded. I get it.
Exactly. Like you have to quantify the first bullet, I think, like for an RCOM. Yeah. But anyway, these dudes, I imagine like they, like they work a fucking shift at Block, like this is not Blockbuster, but like
that's not even around anymore. It's crazy because I just watched The Sopranos again, and I remember AJ works at Blockbuster.
yeah, he does. But yeah, like they work at some like retail job or whatever. They like tell like these fake war stories to a bunch of people that don't know shit, and they get to where they practice it, and everybody they tell it to is like, "Fuck yeah, man, 400 fucking rooms as a supply guy totally checks out."
Why did you do 401? Like, what happened?
Right. Yeah. Like, you pull 400. Yeah. Like, after your 400, it's like a bombing mission, like in World War II.
I go home.
It's like, all I got to do is 400. Like, 400 is a magic number. And then
there's 4 other rooms in the building, but you're like, I'm done. Walking out.
Nope, I'm out. Like, I'll see you at the fucking trucks. Meet me at the BDO, bitches. 400. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know how that happens, but he practiced that so often in normie circumstances, and it worked. And he just went on to Twitter and didn't realize that there's like an entire layer of weirdos who are just waiting to dive on that kind of shit. You know, I don't know what they ended up doing. I'm sure they fucking
What?
canceled his whole life and
I
doxed
don't know.
him.
Well,
And
I mean, that stolen valor account like got all of his records, and he actually was like awarded a cab, and he has a really impressive DD-214 and a 15 continuation.
really,
Yeah, like he actually. And so when I read all that, it's just like, well, why don't you just tell your actual story?
right?
Like,
Yeah,
you
hundred
earned some
percent,
shit, you did some shit.
dude.
Like,
One of
you don't
my
have to.
favorite people. One of my favorite people was, um, he was like he was kind of like your roadside assistance for back like Iraq. Like if you got
Records,
hit,
the
yeah,
record.
he worked like a wrecker.
Yeah.
And that motherfucker saw more combat than I did, hands down, certainly.
I believe
Because
it.
well, think about it.
Every convoy was
Every
getting hit. So
every convoy that gets hit is calling his ass. And talk about a shit show. You know what I mean? Like these cheese convoys that are like fucking 100 trucks deep. You know what I mean? Like just full of pogues and bullshit. Fucking just rippets and all the DVDs that none of us got to watch. You know what I mean? Like they're not fucking doing things right. And so yeah, this dude was getting after it in the war. And if you told the like a normal infantry guy, like, yeah, I was I worked a wrecker, they'd be like, oh, you fucking pogue, you know, because it's what he is.
yeah.
But I wouldn't think that like he won't fight or any of that shit. Like I talk to him, we talk shop all the time. Like that dude's getting after it.
Yeah.
And so like, yeah, it doesn't like people should just tell who they are. Like a lot you this is a spicy take, but
Oh,
like a lot of SF dudes didn't do that much. Like I know that I mean they did. They're a Green Beret and they went through that whole thing and that's very cool. We're all
yeah.
very proud of them.
We're very
But
proud.
like some of those teams didn't do anything. And if they did, it was like maybe a FID mission. Like they're not all CRIF members. Like they're not all fucking kicking doors like sound of pajamas moving murder. Like most of them fucking weren't doing that. And then like a lot of regular infantry, not even airborne dudes, were fucking getting after it, doing like hard hits, clearing whole fucking villages. Like, I don't know, man. You can't really judge everybody by it. But like if you're a supply guy, you probably didn't clear fucking 400
The only
buildings.
thing I could think about when he said that is because, like, supply is one of those MOSs that you just get stuck in. You can be stuck in any unit. He could have been a supply guy in any fucking unit
I had
possible.
a supply guy. I can tell you though, he didn't clear any fucking rooms. Like,
No, but that's the only thing I
nope.
was just like, okay, maybe he was there very early on because he was there early, right? Like he was OIF one.
He's
So
not clearing rooms. We weren't
I
even
no,
letting
I'm
our
just
fucking
trying
FO
to
clear
figure out
rooms.
how like it may have been possible for him to go on a mission, but no, he definitely didn't clear 400.
He
He
didn't
could have
clear
been
any.
he maybe went along for a mission. That's possible.
Yeah, I mean, I even took like the retention NCO for a fucking
Yeah,
mission.
why
You know what I
not? We
mean?
need
Like,
someone, but he just
yeah,
wants to
yeah,
do
like
his
they just
time.
want a
I
little.
mean, that was
That's
in Black
fine.
Hawk Down. The dude was like, man, I just need to get out of here.
Yeah, yeah. Like I think again, if he'd have just been like, I went on a couple of missions with the infantry dudes, like
Yeah, just say I went on a
I'd
cape.
believe
Don't
that.
say I cleared 400 rooms because that implies you're clearing more than one
No,
a
you
day.
didn't clear
He
400
didn't clear
rooms.
400 rooms. Didn't
Like,
happen.
don't be dumb.
But then he also said he was like capturing like HVTs and all. It's like, no, you come
You want to go ahead and press X to doubt here, like,
for now.
you know what I mean? Like, I don't think so. I think not. Um,
But
yeah,
why do
it's
they do that? Why do you think they act like they did that? Why not? How come no one ever pretends to be the fucking cook? I mean, they got
I
cool
don't know,
stories
man.
too. Like, why don't you just tell like the cool? Like, most of my stories were all the dumb shit we did. Like, I don't
Those
really.
are the best. That's actually to me like a litmus test. Like I was talking to my wife about this. Like, um, if you tell me a story about how cool you were, or like something that you did in a firefight where you like saved the day, or thought of the thing that nobody else did, or moved when nobody else did, or like I'm gonna immediately think you're a fucking liar. You know what I mean? Like nobody would tell that story that I know. Like, tell me about how you flipped the fucking side by side and almost drowned in a shit trench. You know what I mean? Like, tell me about the time you almost roasted your fucking FO with an AT4, but the only thing that saved you was you didn't pull the fucking shipping pin out. Like, um, tell me, like, there's a lot of like fun war stories that like capture what it's like, which is like chaos, stupidity, just randomness. Like that's fun. But like most war stories that are told as war stories are lies. Like they're usually told by liars. Like if it doesn't invoke like a laugh or you to just be like, Jesus, that's fucked up, then it's not a real story.
How did she respond to that?
I mean, she got to where she can kind of spot it. Like she's
Yeah,
talking to enough of them. Yeah, like she can kind of tell now a little bit.
that's cool.
But
Congratulations on that, by the way.
man, well, I've been blessed. Like she volunteered even before she met me at like Walter Reed and
Oh
stuff like
wow,
Yellow Ribbon Fund and all that back in the day. She's a cool
that's
chick.
cool, man. That's cool.
Yeah. But she's also been, I mean, she's met some of our friends and she's met some of my army buddies. And so, yeah, she's in for it, man.
She's well versed at this point. Yeah,
Fuck this poor lady.
this poor lady.
God bless her. I think
Oh,
she knew what she was getting into, but she does now.
yeah, it's a little late for that party. It's
Right.
the check's been cashed, so yeah. Um, I think there's one other thing. Let me go back to my little folder here, the Gruntpa folder.
It's fucking all my mean tweets.
Yeah,
I
no,
told people not
I
to
mean,
prepare for the apocalypse, not to do anything.
I think this one was a little different. Actually, no, it wasn't from you. It was I think Terry, good old Terry Shepard quoted this guy earlier, and I was just curious if you saw it. It's about C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
Um,
Didn't see it.
okay, well, he quoted this guy. The account is Old Books Guy, which so that's a
Okay.
for me. This guy Josh Delaney looks like runs this Old Books Guy account, and he's talking about. So on the cusp of World War II, he gave this lecture at Oxford University in 1939. His response was to the question, "Does beauty matter when bombs start falling?"
Mhm.
And my favorite one, well, he had a few. Um, it was, I'm trying to phrase this properly. He's basically saying, so the permanent human situation is endless strife, chaos, and pain. Human life has always been lived on the edge of a precipice. Human culture has always had to exist under the shadow of something infinitely more important than itself. That's the quote. And then he said, yet culture still breaks out. And if we have waited for peace to create art, the first cave painting would still not be made. Always some imminent danger, quote, is looking more important than culture.
Mm.
And I thought that was some really cool shit because it got me thinking. He's like, also, he talks about this is why, like, in war, men still comb their hair or they just read a book, like whether it's good or bad. And I was like, I thought about that
Mhm.
because I read more books in the 16 fucking months I was in Iraq than I've ever read in my life. And I can't even tell you what half of them fucking were.
Same.
I just picked up whatever was there. That's
Dude,
why
I was like,
our rooms were just full of stupid ass books, and I'd pick them
I
up and
believed
take.
in God. I studied the Bible.
That's
Like
cool.
I was like really, yeah, I was like, I was like a monk. Like, it was like the best time. And talk about appreciating beauty. Like I would see things and think they were meant for me, you
Mhm.
know? Like I had like the weird connection to the world that I don't have now. I think
And you
about it a
notice
lot.
this? Oh, so I still see this clear as day in my mind. It was when we started our convoy in towards Baghdad, because we started at night, obviously, right? And then I just remember the sun starting to come up, and we were well into Iraq at this point. And I just remember looking off to the right, and noticing how big those fucking palm trees were. Did you ever notice that?
Yeah, they're big.
I never noticed how big palm, and I'm from Florida. Like I've seen palm
Oh
trees
yeah.
my whole life.
Those date palms like are fucking
Yeah.
huge. We lived next to what they called Sherwood Forest in Baghdad.
Okay.
And so like we used to have to pull guard on this gigantic fucking forest. And yeah, those date palms are gigantic, dude.
Fucking massive. And I never saw like that's one of my like most clear and you're talking
Mhm.
about like the things that you would realize or recognize as beauty that you never would before. And I was like, that's like the first memory I have of Iraq was like, oh my, these fucking things are huge.
Right.
No.
Yeah, I had all kinds of I was superstitious. I mean, I'm still very superstitious, but like back then, man, I felt very connected to the world and would find like all kinds of shit beautiful that like now I look back and I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Like you on drugs? You know what I mean? But I was on a drug. Like I was convinced I wasn't gonna live through that war. So I was like, I was really
Were you really?
I think yeah, man, I didn't think I was gonna live through that war. You thought you were gonna live through that war?
Um, so when I got there, I was 22.
Yeah.
And like I told you, I think I said this to you before. So we were there for the start, right? And I just
Yeah.
remember getting into
Because that
Baghdad.
was like the hairiest time. I would have thought that like for certain I wouldn't have made it to that.
Well, when we got to Baghdad, we didn't do shit for a few months, right? And then we already talked about Paul Bremer, right? But then
Mhm.
once third ID started rotating out and first AD came in, I read that as a sign.
Mhm.
Because everything that we were told from the moment we got on the plane to leave the States to the time we touched down in Kuwait and started moving from fucking 5 camps in 24 hours. Oh, don't worry, we'll be home in 6 months.
Right.
Well, we got extended 4 times, and that
Yeah,
turned
yeah.
to 16 months. And so I never really had a morbid thought until it was like Christmas Eve. And that's like
Mhm.
so we were on BIAP at the time, the Baghdad International Airport, and they gave us like this mass, like everyone has to pull guard Christmas Eve because we're expecting like this battalion sized insurgent attack on the Baghdad airport, right?
Fucking Christmas.
Yeah, like Christmas Eve, right? And I still like
Yeah.
I have a picture of my buddy because we had two saws on top of a 5 ton, and that was my position for my little shift. And I just remember for the first time, we're just pointed out at like this wall on this perimeter of the airfield. And that was like the first time where I was just really like, well, what if this actually does happen?
Yeah.
And because I flashed back to my grandfather. My grandfather was in the Korean War. And I think I may have said this to you before. I've said it in group settings before. It's like he always would tell me cool stuff. And I would come back. I remember coming back on leave. And then I remember coming back from Iraq. And he just would like to talk. And I'm like, man, I don't have any cool fucking things to really tell you, Like your guys ruined it for my generation. Like we can't have beer. We can't do anything fucking cool.
Right.
But his earliest story was like he was a 19-year-old private uh, in Chosan, and his first night he was on the 50 cal at night, and they got overrun. Like that's his story. That's his story. And so, like in that little small moment of me being on top of this fucking saw, looking out, I was like, I thought of my grandpa in that moment, and that was the only time where I was like, well, I hope this isn't it, right? I hope I do the fucking right thing. But that was the first time I was ever kind of scared.
Man.
Like I was
I
legit.
caught that shit early. Because
Yeah,
that
well,
Barbieri
you
kid.
were doing a different job. Like to be like you were doing different shit. But that was the first time, and then that was like from that moment on, I never really thought about it more since. Or after that, I didn't really think about it. But that was the only time I was really legit scared because that was the first time someone actually sat us down and was like, "This is going to happen," and nothing ever happened. But
Yeah.
you know,
Man, that Barbieri kid got killed like on one of our earliest missions. Like we landed in this we're in the wrong fucking field, of course, because I think we had National Guard aviation assets. But like they dropped us in the wrong field. We took
shout out
forever
to
to
Red in
fucking
the guard. What up?
yeah, like we fucking we we couldn't breach the fence at the right place. It was like a whole fucking thing. So we missed like most of our timeline, and we had this huge container yard we had to clear out. Like, and if anybody's fucking gives a shit to see where this is, if you go to my bio for the location, I say not at, and then I list coordinates. It's literally these coordinates, so you can go and see what I'm talking about. But it's this container yard in Yusufia, and it's where this Barbieri kid gets, I won't say wins because I'm fucking smart enough because he dies, but like he gets the silver star. And it was like 200 ish meters from me.
Hmm.
And like that, when that kicked off, like I could hear it. Like it was fucking, it was obviously like our fucking small arms and theirs. And I was like, holy fuck, I'm in a war. Like it was like a weirdest, stupidest fucking thing to occur to me because I was in the war before then. Like
Yeah,
absolutely
that was your
was.
moment. Like, hey,
But
knock it
that
out.
was when I was like, holy shit, I can actually die here. Like, this is dumb. What are you doing? Like, why are you here?
Yeah.
You know? And like, I don't know. That didn't leave me that much. Like, I fucking pretty much, I kept feeling that like a lot of time. And I was real hard on myself about mistakes, like not in front of my soldiers and shit, but I was constantly like, I'm going to fuck this up. Like, I'm going to do something that's like, it's part of why I'm like so hard on like mental conditioning now. Is because like those bad thought patterns and stuff like I had to get out of. But yeah, in that war, man, I was too often like, I'm not gonna make it. It just seemed too random. You know what I mean? And I was a lead truck driver, like always for my platoon. Like, cause I had do you remember the stupid Rhino?
Yep.
Do you remember that thing?
Yeah.
The EFP setter offer?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, they put that on so I had that in the Duke, right?
Oh, and the Duke. Nice.
In
Okay.
the Duke. And so it was like, they were like, and I went to way too many uh like ID sites where like I would go to the truck that was hit and the fucking Duke would be flipped on, and I'm like, this is not good. Dude, I was flipping through pictures the other day because my buddy actually gave me some, and there was a picture of a fucking one of our sister companies that got hit. Two guys got killed. Like we had responded to that one, and like, yeah, the dude that got smoked, like his ECM were on. You know what I mean? Like for all the good it did him. And so like, yeah, I don't know. I had, to me, like there was some curb somewhere, there was somewhere in Baghdad was a corner or a road or a pile of trash or something that was just gonna fucking turn me into mush. That's what I was certain of.
And then it didn't.
And then it didn't.
You went once
So
or twice?
huh?
Did you go twice or once?
Technically twice.
Okay.
Because like we went to Afghanistan on like a pretty short notice deployment. We came back for 9 months. We went and did that torch mission.
Okay.
We came back I actually came back early because I got a Red Cross message. I came back like 2 weeks early. So I was back, and then my unit came back, and they were back for 6 days, and then we went to the surge. So like really we weren't back that long.
Yeah.
I almost always say like kind of it was one deployment, but it was technically
okay.
two.
But most so you didn't really have too many crazy experiences in Afghanistan.
Afghanistan, I was in S2. I was on a tactical human team, or assisting one, I should say. I wasn't on it. So I worked in S2, and yeah, I didn't do shit. Like, let's be honest, like I was in S2. Like I fucking helped people with their clearances. I took some patrol debriefs. I made a few fucking slides. Every now and then I'd give a battlefield update brief. But mostly I was just trying to get on patrols and shit just to get out of the fucking wire. Because I was 11 Bravo, but I wasn't being an 11 Bravo, and it really hurt my feelings.
Well, then you got to realize it though, at least.
Yeah. Right. Then I wished I was fucking back at S2.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, dude, I had way better muffins and rippets.
I was say, maybe, do you ever think that maybe that's where you should have been anyway? Like some intel dude? Yeah. So you're a very smart guy. I figured that
I almost reclassed like after that experience. I really I got the bug. It's funny because I've actually got the COIST like operational reference guide right here. That's how big of a nerd I am.
You're ready to go back, huh? You got time left. You got time left. You got your military age. You're actually younger than you think.
I bet if standards keep dropping, I could go back. I could go back soon. Fucking probably be the company PT record holder.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, that's just another funny.
Yeah.
But you assure me that your kids are all right, so I'm going to take your word for that because I believe it.
I think so. I think they're going to be all right.
I think they'll be all right too. It's just, maybe unfortunately they need a little everyone needs a wake-up call once in a while. So I just don't want it to be what we talked about at the start of this, though. I don't need anybody.
I don't want any more war. I don't need more bullshit.
I don't either, dude. I also it was that thing I said the other day. Like, I know people are like, "Well, you almost did." It's true, but I'm just like, imagine dying for somebody else's country. Like that was my response to that dude lighting himself on fire. It's like, what are you doing? Like,
and not even in a significant way. Like the biggest thing about that kid that still bothers me is just how pointless it was.
It was.
It didn't slow down the fighting over there for 1 second. Like they didn't stop shooting to even look over. Like
they probably don't even know.
They don't and wouldn't give a fuck anyway if they did.
Oh, great. Some fucking idiot set himself on fire and now he's dead. It's like, yeah. Like there's a life gone for no fucking reason.
Right. And like, what would have happened if instead, like, he would have like had an NCO or somebody like just taken interest in him? Maybe put those dim sock fucking weirdos in a box, and like, let's go outside and touch grass. Like,
Yeah.
you know, maybe got on some happy pills or started lifting weights.
I think
Met a nice lady,
yeah.
who was like, hey, like, why don't we have sex instead of you being weird all the time? Like, if that would have fucking happened instead, like, he wouldn't have turned into some crispy critter outside of an embassy. Like, fuck, dude.
No, I think you made a good point. Like, we need to just lift more. Just fucking do physical activities.
Dude, I'm gonna tell you what I did, like, because I haven't lost like a ton of weight since you've seen me, but I've lost some, and I just fucking walk. Like, me and the wife
Oh
just
yeah,
go for a walk.
yeah.
Like, just go for a walk. Like, you don't even have to go that far.
No.
If you just walk like 3.5 miles a day,
Yeah.
which you can do very easily,
Very easy.
in one
do
hour.
it on a Costco trip. I've done it.
Right. 100%. Like, you can do. I've done it at the fucking airports, even little shit ass airports. Like,
airports.
I was in like Nashville airport or some place that's like barely even got electricity, and I could fucking get my steps in there. Like,
it's very true. I mean, that's how I lost the 20 pound. Well, not 20, about like 15 when I first got out here. Dude, I was just walking 8 miles a day because of my work. And then I would still go to the gym after because I still have to do that. Like,
that's what your body's made to do.
Yeah.
Honestly, your body's not made to lift, and it's not really made to run and ride bikes and do all this crazy shit.
Good point.
It is made to walk a lot though, and it's not that bad for you. And it's pretty hard to fuck yourself up walking. Like, if people would just walk, they'd probably be a lot better off. Like,
very good point.
Lifting is better. I think
it is. Takes shorter. Like, walking takes a long time.
And I think it's important. Like, but
I do.
The fuck do I know?
I just, my goal is like, and I learned it all from my father, but like, I'm never gonna listen to a doctor that tells me to not lift this or not do. I'm just gonna do it until I'm dead. That's my goal.
If you see an old cat in the gym, what's he look like? Does he look bad? Nope. Most of the time he looks better than the other dudes his age.
Like, I've seen.
That's all you have to know. And almost every one of those dudes are cooler than the other guys his age. And that's the other thing you need to know.
Also true.
Like, he's going to be younger looking, and he's going to have a better attitude because he gets that shit out. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, that's the big. And my brother's the same way. He's like, he gets his out lifting as well, but he's also like, he's a fucking trains MMA and all that stuff. Like, that's his thing. He's like, dude, I have to. If I don't do this stuff, it's not going to be good for the people around me that I actually care about. Like, that's what makes him normal. But that's what. True. Yeah, and I'm the same way. Like, I don't even. It's not even a thought. It has to happen.
You do a lot though. You're more than any. I don't even work out that much, bro. I'm just saying. Like,
no, it has to though. Like, at least 6 days. I have to do, like, I don't think like, oh shit, I'm doing it. I'm going to do it. Like, I feel miserable if I sit around all day and don't do something. Like, I feel like I failed myself. Like, I got to go do something.
My wife's like this. It drives me fucking nuts. Like, I could live the rest of my life just chilling out. I don't have to do shit. I'm not a busy person by nature. I always hang out with busy people though, so it like fucks it for me. But yeah, she's the same thing. She's like it's like a Malinois or something, like they have to be walked. Like, you can't keep one of those as a pet. Like,
no,
they'll go insane. They'll tear up shit. They'll go nuts. They'll make you nuts.
Man, I first met those fuckers in Kuwait. We had to like only E7s could inspect or above could inspect like the dog crates, and I went into that room with like 14 Malinois and crates, and they just went nuts when I walked in. So like, who the fuck's this guy? Who the fuck I'm like, yeah, they're good. I don't want to get it now. I'm not dealing with these fuckers.
Right.
Those things are nuts. Sure.
But no, that's the kind of dog. Like, that's the kind of dog you are. It's like you have to be walked. Like, you have to like be busy. You have to, like, yeah, because if you don't get out and get your shit, like, then you're gonna go nuts.
I gotta do something stupid myself every day. Like, I have to.
If we don't get you out running, then you're gonna chew up like the couch cushions or something.
I like that. All right, that's a good place to end it, man. I appreciate you hanging out. I know it's a little. Well, I don't know if it's even late for you. I just know you had to do it at this time. I don't know.
I just had a quad espresso. I'm gonna be good for the next like 5 hours.
Legit. Well, I gave up coffee for Lent, so I'm looking forward to bringing it back. But I'm drinking the hell out of mint tea. I love mint tea.
Mint tea's good. We can dig it.
And I double.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
I double dip it with green tea, so I still get caffeine at least. But
Smart.
yeah, no, it's always good to talk to you. And like, we are geographically closer now, so
We should hang out.
Yeah, I
can
do
do that.
see you pop up into the area to watch your beloved Ravens once in a while. So
Occasionally, I do. Yes, sir.
all right, man. Yeah, well, I'll touch base with you. You're not far. Like I said, I'm kind of closer than you think once I do certain things on the weekend.
Hello.
All right, dude. Appreciate it, man. Thanks.
Yeah.
The Gruntpa on Twitter. If you find, or X, whatever the fuck it's called. All right. We're good.